Hey, everybody. Okay. Hey, Bryn. Hey, Akasha. Hey, Sandy. Hey, Lori. Mel Hawks. Molson Man. Molson Man, I'm going to email you. Yeah, I'm going to message you, because I'd really love to get on the Lindbergh. I'm so excited. Hey, Seven. Oh, I'm sorry you can't stay tonight. Hey, Daniela Yell. How is everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Who is ready for the cult live? I'm so excited. I know Brittany's coming on. MKUltra's coming on. Maybe I could get Nace to come on a little bit later. Holly might come up. And whoever wants to come up and contribute to the cult live, you're more than welcome to. I figured that we could just go over the basics of what exactly a cult is. Hold on, we could go over the basics of what exactly a cult is and then go through cults. I just did, Akasha. We could go through cults and similarities and parallels of each. Akasha, I love you. Parallels and similarities within each cult and try to pick out and focus on what makes it, what compels people to follow someone blindly. I'd love that, Akasha. Thank you, Lori. You guys are so kind. I love you guys so much. I really hope you guys know that. I love my subs so much. So yeah, I'm gonna sit here and I'm just gonna wait for MK and Britt. I told them to take their time, but they'll be here in a few minutes. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging because I know I'm always the one to push things back. So I'm like, let me try to make it. So I'm gonna post this link. I hope that link works. It's the first time I'm trying to do it. Okay, nice. Thanks, Mel. I just didn't feel like doing my hair. And look, like you could tell I didn't feel like doing my hair because do you see how look how freaking fuzzy it is, okay? Even at the ends. Like that tells you I didn't straighten it or anything. Cults are yes, that's the correlation that we're trying to make, Molson. Okay. Um. Oh gosh, that's so funny. You're cute in every pic. Come on, let's be real. Um. Cults are occurring all around YouTube and surrounding us, and that like Molson, like that is really the reason of why I wanted to focus kind of on cults. Besides, I love cults and I find them fascinating. But I thought it would be really interesting to show the parallels even on the YouTube streets. And people mistaken and think a cult has to be all sitting on a compound somewhere worshiping. So that's not how cults work. And we're going to go through what makes a cult, how to identify when you're in a cult, and the different varieties, the whole spectrum of all the different kind of cults. And it's not always so black and white. There's a lot of gray area. So just while we wait for our guests to arrive, for the people in the chat, you want to throw out a name of a cult that most interests you. You know, you have the People's Temple. You have Love Has Won. You have, David Koresh. You have the Manson family. You just name out a couple of I hate when something moves in your room and like there's no logical explanation for it. That just happened. Waco. Cults come in all shapes, sizes, colors, creeds. Yes, Molson. Yes. Molson, feel free. If you'd like to come up, you're more than welcome to come up. Please, anybody. Hey, Steph. Yeah, Waco was messed up. Waco is messed up for sure. Let me try a tester. I'm gonna leave the screen, but I want to know, does it still work? Can you guys still hear me? I Were you guys still able to see me? Can you guys tell me, what did you just see? Hey, MK.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you
I
doing?
got this new sweet avatar I made special for this.
You got to. Oh my God! Hold on, wait. Let me
Oh,
change my layout first off, so I can not be all up. There we go. Look at, is that 2 MKs?
yeah.
Oh,
It's three. It's in memory of Marshall Applewhite, the leader of Heaven's Gate. He had the best background studio I've ever seen of any cult.
oh my goodness, that is funny. Oh,
Oh, I'll send you the original picture of it. It made it so hard when I saw it. It's
that
exactly what
is.
you kind of.
Up, hold on.
He
I'm
was
nervous when I. Oh my. Now I remember. Oh my God, that is so funny. Wait, so when I leave the screen, you guys can't hear or see me?
No,
I'm
you
gonna
were like
test one more
gone
time
when
and
you
I'm gonna
left.
speak. Ready for the next
Is
30
there some?
seconds?
I was kind of.
Go ahead, MK.
Oh, I was like, was there some ghostly activity going on? I was messing around with
Yeah,
the StreamYards thing.
something also dropped in my room out of nowhere, but okay. You could hear me? Okay, so hold on. Can you guys hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. MK, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You could hear me, but just can't see me.
Yeah, I can. I can't see you.
Okay. Okay. Sorry,
Now you're here.
I'm trying to figure something out. Um, it was just a screensaver. Oh, I haven't heard someone refer to it as a screensaver since, like, you'd leave your computer and like that little bouncy thing would go to the corner of the computers. Boing, 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 boing.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Pong.
Yes. Yo, do you remember Snake? Do you remember one of the first on like a Nokia phone when it was just a black and green screen and you'd have to like play the snake doot, 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 to eat the dot and it would get bigger and bigger and bigger?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was using those things up until like 2013. I was still playing Snake on
Yo,
a Nokia.
those were fun. Those were fun. Okay, so all right, let
Hello,
me just
Vivian
start.
Sanchez.
Hello to everybody. All right, so let me just start with the simple. Let's just start with the simple definition of what a cult is, okay? In modern English, a cult is a social group that is defined by its unusual religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs, or by its common interest in a particular personality. Okay. So that just gives you guys an idea of what a cult is. But like Molson said, cults come in lots of different shapes, sizes, colors, whatever. And so, all right, let's start with you, MK. Is there a particular cult that fascinates you?
Well, the reason why, 'cause I think you probably know more about cults than I do, but the one that I really remember was the Heaven's Gate one, which was in 1997, where 39 members suicided themselves because they were in this cult that believed that there was a UFO falling behind the comet Hale-Bopp, which is on a 72-year cycle or orbit around Earth. And they had this belief that there was a UFO in the tail of the comet, in the comet, and if they were to go through these weird practices and suicide themselves, that they would then be transported onto the spaceships.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a
and
cult
that
right
was,
up my alley. That's the
and I would
cult
have
I would be
been
a part of.
about 11 or 12 when that happened. So that's the one that sticks out in my head, because I remember that being so. Even at 12, I was like, "That's such a wild thing." How do adults?
They were and when they were found, they were all found in their, scattered in their beds and stuff. Like, they genuinely believed after they would pass on that they would, their vessels, their body were physical vessels, and
Yeah,
they believed they needed to end their physical vessel in order to ascend. And then when they ascend, there's going to be a craft waiting for them, and they would all, but that was one of the interesting
and
ones
that's just,
where
we're
the,
kind of spoiling the end here. There's a lot leading up to this because the road to
yeah,
get to that point is about a 20-year journey. And I found it very interesting as I listened to a couple of documentaries over the weekend about it, and very fascinating. And the leader was Marshall Applewhite, who very interesting guy, not in the good way though, obviously.
Well, it was led by Bonnie Nettles.
Yes, who
and
was
Marshall
his wife.
Applewhite.
And it was them combining forces, which really sent this journey into the downward spiral that it hit.
Yep.
He was a musician. Well, he's kind of like a musical engineer kind of guy. He had an engineering mind. He taught music. So I believe he started teaching after school. He went into college to learn music, where I think is where he had a very weird thing about sex. It was he was a homosexual, but I don't think he was. I think at that time he was kind of struggling with that, which led him down this kind of road of celibacy, and sex is bad. And he met what was her name, Bonnie
Nettles.
Metals, yeah.
Yeah, but they went as
with him.
T and Doe. They went as T and Doe.
Mm-hmm. That's right. He changes his name to Doe later on in the story. But they kind of combined forces because they had a very similar kind of concept.
Yeah, and, they said they had a spiritual awakening together.
Yes. And I believe Bonnie was the one that was more open to the UFO side of things, and Marshall was more into the Christian aspects of it. And they kind of just combined forces and created this very interesting subject, or kind of sub religion that shot out.
Because they were the two witnesses of a revelation, and they started with a few hundred people that followed them and believed them.
Yeah, they were believed that they were a couple that was talked about in Revelations, and they believed that they were that couple. And they even purchased. Well, I think one of the communes. Now we're getting into kind of how they get people in on this. This kind of hit during the time in the 70s of the spiritual awakening, when a lot of people, that New Age stuff was really kicking on, and they just kind of gained members with similar beliefs, to the point where like there was a ton of land purchased in Humboldt County, because that was the one of the areas that the aliens were supposed to land at and introduce themselves. And it was kind of astonishing how much people were pouring money into this.
A lot, but they ended up in 1976. The group ended up stopped recruiting, and instituted a monastic lifestyle. So usually with a lot of cults, they'll want to recruit as many members as they possibly can, but that wasn't the case with this one.
Yeah, and this is why I find this one fascinating, because I truly do believe that Bonnie and Marshall believed what they were saying. I don't doubt that they didn't believe. And that's what kind of makes it interesting, because there was a real, cutting off members. It's kind of not the regular way of running a cult. Most people run a cult for to get stuff, to get the free ride. I think they really believed it, and that's why I think their followers believed them. They were listening to people who believed what they were saying, and when you kind of under that spell of the cult, it leads to some crazy stuff.
Yeah. And the central belief of that group was the followers can transform themselves into immortal extraterrestrial beings by rejecting their human nature, and they would ascend to heaven, referred to as the next level or the evolutionary level above human. And the death of Nettles to cancer in 1985 challenged the group's views on ascension, where they originally believed that they would ascend to heaven while alive aboard a UFO, later coming to believe that the body was merely a container or a vehicle for the soul, and that their consciousness would be transferred to new next level bodies upon death. And what sucks is that I follow some of that same belief. I do. I don't necessarily believe you have to end your life to ascend, but I'd be open to seeing some evidence, but my point is that I do believe that your body is a vessel and it's a container, and you are able to raise your consciousness and your soul and to a higher level. So this one, I'm telling you, it hit home for me because I'm like, I could totally see me getting so much, like, so far down this cult myself.
Oh yeah, and I enjoy the tracksuits. That's pretty cool. Like,
Touche.
but
Yeah.
then that's the thing. Like, it's an interesting selling point because it is different. It's vastly different than a lot of cults. Whereas like Scientology, which it kind of still gets away with being a kind of cult of religion. I'm not even sure if you're allowed to call it a cult legally.
They are ridiculous.
Allegedly, they're a cult. I guess we'll say that. But I mean, like, with them, they're even more passive with the aspects of life and death. I think, in a sense, like, they have a belief in what's going to happen, but it's not geared around that. It is still, like most religions, geared around your living life. Whereas this cult would really, it's odd that this has happened in 1997. I would think Scientology was kind of growing back then. I'm surprised.
It was.
I wonder if no, they cut off in 76 membership. I was wondering if maybe they were cutting off membership because of Scientology was coming in.
I don't know, unless they had. I don't know.
The beliefs are not the same, but close, like on the same highway.
Yeah, we're talking about outer space and extraterrestrial beings and Xenu, and like, it's kind of somewhat along the same lines. Yeah, but what I want to know is because really we don't know much. All we know is that in 1997, the deputies of the San Diego County Sheriff's Department discovered the bodies of the 39 active members of the group, including that of Applewhite, in a house in San Diego. They had participated in a mass suicide, a coordinated series of ritual suicides, coinciding with the closest approach of the comet Hale-Bopp. Just before the mass suicide, the group's website, which is currently still up.
Yes, they monitored. Left. Yeah, more importantly, they left a person intentionally to maintain the website.
Yes. Okay,
let that quote unquote sacrifice the person to maintain the website.
Yeah. So just before the mass suicide, the group's website was updated with the message, Hale-Bopp brings closure to Heaven's Gate. Our 22 years of classroom here on planet Earth is finally coming to conclusion. Graduation from the human evolutionary level. We are happily prepared to leave this world and go with T's crew. The name Heaven's Gate was only used for the final few years of the group's existence, and they had previously been known under the names Human Individual Metamorphosis and Total Overcomers Anonymous.
Both awesome band names right off the bat.
So what I want to know is, once they found and recovered those bodies, they could look in from an outside perspective and try to piece together what happened. But what I want to know is the knowledge and what they were speaking about when they were alive, like the inner workings of it. Like, what did they believe? Where were they getting their information from? And even though this is one of the smaller cults, but again, they're the ones who cut off more people being added. But so it had the ability to continue growing. But why did all these members follow these two people blindly who claimed they experienced a revolution, who experienced some type of spiritual awakening? And that's the exact question I want to know. Are these people, and this is something I'm going to ask my subscribers to keep in mind as we bounce from cult to cult, try to pick up similarities or try to understand, what does a person have to be going through in order to follow someone, in order to blindly go against your better judgment and listen to someone, even if it's nonsensical?
Well, I watched a few clips with the parents and family members of people that, their loved ones were in the cult, and they all sort of said the same thing, that it gave them a lot of peace. They said that they were always seemingly happy. Even their last meal where they were cited in a restaurant, they were all very happy. So whatever it was bringing them peace to some degree. So that's why they were in it. It's I guess, getting into what had to be very specific things that they must have been doing that just clicked with certain people. But it definitely offered them some sort of hope and peace, because they were all, in every interview I watched, every family member said no, they were like happy people. They were, no, albeit acting weird,
Well,
dumping all their money into
you
this.
could even what we know about like the People's Temple. I'm not meaning to jump to another cult, but just a fun fact: like the People's Temple was an attempt to create a socialist paradise to avoid the IRS and negative press. Jones took his brainwashed followers into the Guyanese jungle, forming a settlement called Jonestown. But then you have one of the famous cults, Scientology, was founded by L. Ron Hubbard, who is one of the, I think he has written the most fiction books out of any writer. Okay, fake books. Okay, story tales.
Yeah, and it's a ridiculous number. It's like, I think it's way over 400 books.
Yeah, like he has written the most fiction books ever, and it's a science. So it was founded by L. Ron Hubbard and a science fiction writer who allegedly made a bet with fellow writer Robert A. Heinlein to see which one of them could start a religion. Hubbard won, Earth lost. So Hubbard and this other fiction writer made a bet who could start a religion first. It started as a bet. It started, that entire religion, Scientology, was started based on his fiction books.
And not only that, but not a single rule of Scientology was ever a factor in L. Ron Hubbard's life. He just did what he wanted to do.
Yep.
He just lived his life, and he just had designed this religion to more function around him. And he would just literally kind of spin a yarn of why it is the way it is. You never hear about L. Ron Hubbard's like, what's that electro test thing they do? It's called filter, not filter.
No, it's called the oh shit. I'm so bad on the spot.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. They get like a
yeah. You hold the two metal things, and you have to go in daily for that. You know that, right? You have to go in for.
You have to go in daily, and on top of reading his entire library of books, which you have to do, you have to then buy these Scientology
insane money.
It costs you thousands of dollars a year. You have to buy these Scientology books, and that once you buy all the books for yourself, you then have to start buying them for friends to give to them. So it's this never-ending cycle of it. First off, he's an author, so he wants to sell his books.
Auditing.
The best way.
Auditing.
That's how. Yeah.
That's what they call it. They call it auditing.
Yes. And you never hear about L. Ron Hubbard going through his auditing. He never did that. He never did any of this stuff.
And Scientology has over 10 million members.
Yeah, which is another very, very wild stat. It's incredible. But once you kind of see the surface level, what it is, I can see what's enticing about it, especially in the day and age where, we got season 25 of Ancient Aliens. And I remember as a kid, the infomercials for what's it called? Dianetics? Do you remember
Dianetics. Yep. That was his original book.
They would just play this infomercial all night long on various channels for L. Ron Hubbard's Dianetics, and it never made like the commercials. Watch it now; I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. It was so vague, but it was so interesting. Like, what is this about?
Well, even Joe Rogan, who obviously does not believe in Scientology, but he said he read that book Dianetics, and it was really good. It was based off of good points, and all about raising your vibrational energy and treating your body well and normal stuff. But the question is, how did it go from that
surface level? Yeah.
How did it go from that and get so deep?
Because that door was open. Once you kind of go, oh, okay, well, this is good stuff. It's kind of motivational speaking. That's kind of what I take away from that book, from what I hear about. It kind of works on a level of self-help kind of book. So you get enticed in. You go, oh, this is good information. I like this. You go in, and then it's just these steps. And that's why they keep these steps secret. And so you get to the next step, and it's like, oh, okay, I got to do this type of stuff now. Oh, that's what I got to do. I remember Tom Cruise being on TV going like, oh, I'm in Scientology. If I see a car accident, I got to stop and help. And it's like, well, anybody has to do that. That's not just like a Scientology thing, but he's fooled into thinking that only Scientologists have the responsibility of being a good Samaritan, basically.
Well, that's what the belief is. basically man is basically good, and that his spiritual salvation depends upon himself, his fellows, and his attainment of brotherhood with the universe. Which again isn't so ridiculous when you think of it simplicity. But how did they turn it into, and like you mentioned, this is, you need to pay to become at a higher level. And that's why I loved Leah Remini when she came out and explained what she couldn't just, hey, if you are into this religion, and you could go and learn as much as you can. No, if you want to learn, you need to pay. And if you want to get higher in the levels, because you have to remember, they do not have access to the computer. They have access to the computer, but it's filtered. So they can't simply type in Scientology and read all of the stuff that's available to us at our fingertips now. They didn't know. I remember Leah Remini being on Joe Rogan Experience and explaining the moment she found out that about the Xenu and
about the Xenu, yeah. I remember that too.
You're being blasted to on Earth from this spaceship, and you have to live 1,000. Crazy shit. And
well, when she was talking about, you could see, like, when she talked about her reaction to it was like, "Are you kidding me?" I think is her exact quote. Because, like, yeah, at some point, there's a line that you're going to cross, and you're either going to, like, hold on to everything that you were believing up to this point, all this money, all this time you invested, you're hooked now. Now here's the last selling point, and then it's like you're either going to go with it or you're not. At that point,
mm-hmm.
But most people would go with it at that point. She was just the one strong-minded enough to go, okay, this is going too far.
Oh, and by the way, guys, I'm going to be doing an entire live on Scientology / where's Shelly Miscavige. So don't worry, we'll get into that. But, or how about, like, for every day you need to go into for auditing. And yes, auditing, the way Leah explained it is, are they able to read your mind? No, but naturally your body has chemicals that increase with your emotions, anxiety, your heart starts to race, the same form like that a lie detector test uses. So you'll go in there and they ask you questions, and if they ask you something like, well, how's your relationship going, how's your marriage, and they see your heart start to race and picking up on those signals, they'll go in deeper because they know you're holding something back. But the fact that any place makes you go in daily for an audit, and what's weird is that you could be the auditor. These people aren't certified or anything like that. All they did was take a test, like, I guess, with Scientology. But you have to, like, the things that they would make them do, and you have to go every day, and you also have to attend the Church of Scientology every day. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I think the main purpose of the auditing is for blackmail purposes. I think it's just information gathering. All these, that was another thing about the Leah Remini, the Scientology show that she had. All these people that were, like, running that stuff were all, like, field agents and sheriffs and, like, all people of authority that were basically running the audits. And to me, that's like screams. That's just intel gathering, blackmail gathering.
That's exactly what that is. They have, and that's what she said. They have files on you. So every day when you go in for an audit, they just open your file and they continue the notes, and they have everything there. But you have to remember, it's not like me. If I went in for an audit, I would know better than to just say any information. Not them. They believe, they trust, they genuinely feel like they have to let this information out. And I remember her explaining the audit she got after Tom Cruise's wedding, because you remember there was a whole debacle that happened at Tom Cruise's wedding.
They were interviewing women to be the possible wife of Tom Cruise, and she was one of them.
Yep. And so the fundamental principles of Scientology are: 1, man is an immortal alien, spiritual being called a thetan. 2, his experience extends well beyond a single lifetime. And 3, his capabilities are unlimited, even if not presently realized. And they explain that when their children of Scientology join what's called the Sea Org, you have to sign a contract for 1 billion years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought up Sea Org, too. That's one of my favorite aspects of this whole thing. And it's the scariest part of the whole thing. But yeah, you sign a 1 billion year contract.
And we'll get into that. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you signed a 1 billion year contract. The Sea Org thing was just fascinating because L. Ron Hubbard was in the Navy, in the Royal Navy, I believe. And he just fancied himself a sailor, and I guess he was for all purposes. But he bought this giant ship, like I forget what kind of ship it was. I think it was like an old Navy ship, but converted it to like a cruiser, like more of a luxury kind of ship. And he would just make his Scientology followers just run the ship for him while they sailed around. And here's the weird thing: they would put people on there for intimidation purposes. People that were kind of getting out of line, they would get sent to Sea Org. And then you just on this boat in international waters, under this like under the command of L. Ron Hubbard and like literally henchmen, where they could do anything to you. And some of the stories of being intimidated on that boat is just terrifying. The boat has been scrapped, thank God, but I think there is like a smaller version of it now.
Well, the fact that even children, underage children, 12, 13 years old, can be separated from their families and their parents and put out to work on the Sea Org and signed a contract for 1 billion years. 1 billion years, because they believe even if you die, you come back 1 million lifetimes or whatever. 1 billion-year contract.
Well, here's the thing, though. 1 billion-year contract.
So good to see you.
A 1 billion-year contract isn't a legally binding contract.
But
it's more of a mental thing. It's a mental thing. They breed you. They train these people to feel. They would feel extremely shamed if they fell through this contract. So it's relying on the morality that you're implanting into them, which is skewed.
Yep.
And that's a big thing when someone goes like, okay, well, if loyalty is one of those big tenets of Scientology, but you sign a 1 billion-year contract, you're sticking to that not because of the law, but you're sticking to it because of your own personal loyalty, which is many times often much deeper.
And Scientologists believe that souls have lived on other planets prior to living on Earth, and a person cannot progress until aberrations from previous lives are cleared.
Yes, because they were our souls were the captured spirits of all the planets that were being conquered by the Xenu. Is that the Xenu guy, or is that the other guy?
Xenu,
yeah. The Xenu conquered all these planets, and it was just a bunch of scattered alien souls that were spread out amongst early hominids. So, like, the idea was that all these any type of mental disorder, any type of psychological disorder was all related to you having an alien soul, and it's not connecting right to your mortal body.
Yep. And they genuinely believe that L. Ron Hubbard found all this out through scientific methods, not by revelation, meaning L. Ron Hubbard led these people to believe that this was scientifically proven, not just faith, not just, oh, I had a revelation like, we did with the Heaven's Gate one. This is science. I found this out through science. So the biggest question is, and you have to also remember, you will be excommunicated if, I forgot the exact word it's called, but if your child does something wrong, they will be kicked out of Scientology. If they want to leave Scientology, they will not be able to have any contact with their parents or their family. And they listen. The family listens. The family is willing to cut off their child completely, or their loved one, the mother, the wife, whatever it may be. And so, again, what would lead such a huge group of people like this to just listen to this one person, this one crazy person? Do you know how many people, if I walk down New York City right now, the street, how many people are on that street saying God knows what makes all these people just trust this one person, even though it goes, if you look at this logically and write down everything, that he's the most written fiction author, and he believes all this outlandish shit, that, okay, yeah, I put my faith in him to the point where I will never speak to my child again. That's scary.
Yeah. And just to clarify, the most fiction books is, I mean, it's the best fiction books. Most of them are very crap. You know what I mean? Like, he was I guess it's the star power. There's definitely charisma behind it. That's going to be the first thing that's going to get people to want to continue to listen to you. But I mean, the odd thing is, there isn't a whole lot of stuff with L. Ron Hubbard personally teaching. It's almost as if he just kind of was at the top, and he had his henchmen kind of running everything else. I have never seen, I don't think, a video of L. Ron Hubbard speaking to Scientologists. Maybe I just never looked for it, but is that out there? I'm sure it has to be, but
L. Ron Hubbard speaking to Scientologists?
yeah, like speaking to a group of Scientologists. I've only ever seen pictures of him on like the Sea Org. Like to me,
I've
he
seen
seems
pictures of him, but I know that there is footage of him sitting there talking to like the audience, but like everything is compartmentalized again, you know, like so
yeah,
even though he's at the top, he's not the one really doing anything. It's everyone else below him. But again, what would make
and that's kind of
I saw your
like
comment, just me. Is it something I need to check now? Because I don't know if I leave the screen, it might mess up. But what would lead someone to follow that? Why? And that much money? Because I don't think people understand how much money Scientology makes.
I'm gonna watch one of these L. Ron Hubbard videos. I gotta hear I want to hear his teachings, quote unquote. Because yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's the question: is what gets people into these things? And I think.
But you have to remember, he didn't just come right out with all his beliefs. You had to buy the next book, buy the next level, and then you are allowed the knowledge. So it was only after Leah Remini literally paid millions, okay, and then they have the whole celebrity center where they purposely try to recruit celebrities so that they could go out and push this narrative. Even Seinfeld was part of Scientology at one point.
And this is where I get into the conspiracy aspect of, I think that there was a certain amount of it that was propelled by like the CIA or NSA to infiltrate the celebrity, because the celebrity thing is what's kind of fascinating, because they set the celebrity center. I forget how much it cost, like $24 million, something ridiculous.
A lot.
But they were able to go out there and actually get quite a few high profile celebrities. At one point, Will Smith was in it. He can deny it all day long, but he was in it. John Travolta, of course, and Tom Cruise are the big ones. But there's many others. Yeah. Jason Lee from My Name is Earl was another one. It's to them, and I because they don't speak about it publicly outside of the propaganda aspect of it. But I'm curious, what is their hitch, or what's their hook on celebrities? Like, is it a power thing? Or are they just offering them, hey, because Tom Cruise has I think a team of 20 Scientologist interns that take care of all of his stuff. So he doesn't have a personal agent, like a personal assistant. He has a whole crew of Scientology that go unpaid, that just kind of protect him, take his notes, handle his business. And is that the main part of it? Is that so appealing to have this kind of posse that takes care of everything for you around you? Is that enough of a selling point to keep you in it?
Well, you can't also judge what a celebrity experiences in Scientology versus what the regular person on the street experiences.
Which is nothing the same.
Nothing the same.
Nothing the same. They're completely different.
They don't even have to follow the same rules. Like when I said before that you would have to attend their church every day and get audited every day, that is not the same with a celebrity, because they have different lifestyles. Basically, they are assigned specific Scientology people to go to them and everything. Totally different experience.
Yeah, take care of their needs, and part of it is also spreading Scientology. So they're looked at as being more of I don't know if this is the correct word, but a prophet almost. But they were somebody that was high profile enough that could go out and speak kindly about Scientology and get more members. So that was kind of their argument to why they're not treated like your average Scientologist who goes into it.
Yep, and they do also get jobs based on the church. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious if money from Scientology goes into any movies specifically. I mean, of course, there's the legendary Battlefield Earth, which if you've never seen that movie, you got to watch it. It's amazing.
What is it?
Battlefield Earth. It stars John Travolta, and it's based on the works of L. Ron Hubbard. And you never seen it?
No.
Oh my God! Watch Battlefield Earth.
Name it Battlefield Earth?
Yes. John Travolta, Forrest Whitaker, Barry Pepper. A lot of people in it, and it is. I mean, it's a masterpiece. All right.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm excited.
But it's based on the work of L. Ron Hubbard. Hey, Bryn.
Bryn. Sorry.
But John Travolta plays basically like the Anunnaki. he basically plays like an Anunnaki coming back down to Earth,
Really?
mining gold. Yeah,
Oh, that's right up my
mining
alley.
gold. And Barry Pepper is a humanoid, or he's a human, but it's a post-apocalyptic environment. And
Thank you, Rose Gold. Thank you
he
so much.
basically begins learning. The humanoid kind of gets, or the human. I don't know why I'm calling it humanoid. It's just a human. But he kind of gets put in this machine to make him smarter, so that he mines gold faster. But giving him that intelligence makes him create an uprising, a la Star Wars.
I'm definitely gonna watch it. Do you know if it's available on Netflix or Hulu or something? Amazon?
Oh, I'm sure it's got to be somewhere.
Better be somewhere. I'll watch it tonight.
It's probably one of the best bad movies out there. Like in terms of like fun movies to watch, for how bad it is, it's up there. I mean, it's in a good way. It's worth watching, guys.
I love good bad movies. There are some movies that are so bad they're really good.
Yeah, but then, but what the insight from that is this world that L. Ron Hubbard is painting, this other world where it's like, oh, one day it's all going to be a post-apocalyptic world. There's going to be these aliens. It's going to be using us to mine. You know, it's an interesting thing.
And yeah, everyone's saying, I remember hearing people say that you would go to your local supermarket and you would see people doing the audits and trying to recruit people, but I've never personally experienced.
I think that was like a Florida, California thing. I think that was I think that's where that was going. I've heard about that, but I've never seen that.
All right. Well then, do you know anything about David Koresh?
Waco. I know a little bit about it. I know the basics of it. But you can go into it. I'll pick up where I kind of remember some things.
Hold on, let me get my stuff up for Waco. Because and as we're going through all these, and we could bounce back and forth between, go back to which, Heaven's Gate or something, just whatever. But I'm trying to get everyone to hear the different extremes of all these different cults. And then towards the end, I'd like to apply it to the YouTube streets and certain things that we witness and see. But
yeah, and Waco kind of falls in this weird line where, because there was so much pressure squeezed on them, that kind of caused the breaking point. Whereas the rest of them, like with Heaven's Gate, it's sort of the opposite. There's no pressure on them. They just reach their own tip over point. With Koresh, wasn't he? He was just kind of very libertarian kind of guy who wanted to kind of just more do the commune thing.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Charles Manson did study Scientology when he was in prison, claimed to have achieved theta.
He was also part of the MKUltra program in college too.
I saw a Scientology church when visiting Los Angeles last year and was so impressed by it. Beautiful facility. I was smart enough to never enter it. Yeah, they have a lot of money. You guys don't realize how much revenue Scientology makes.
Oh, those Scientology buildings are phenomenal. They're beautiful buildings. I mean, they really are. And I even like the style they got. It's this kind of weird, almost like medieval meets modern, mid-century sort of look about everything. But that's because like they have 10 million members, so they probably have engineers and architects that are in their religion that volunteer their time, and they put their passion into it. Because you look at like the Mormon Church, it's beautiful too.
Yep.
I mean, it's a beautiful place, and
yep.
Yeah, Scientology, they got some bling.
Oh, I'd love that, Sarah. Something. Okay,
and that's where kind of religion always kind of loses me. That's like the thing with Catholicism too. Was what always got me was the gaudiness of it. Like, why is this all? For a religion based, that really the main focus should be forgiveness and love. It's like, why is there a gold goblet?
MKUltra is a club. Where do I sign up? I don't think you guys want to be a part of MKUltra. It was fucked up.
I am planning a big New Year's Eve live stream on my hiking channel. It's going to be an infomercial style live stream. We're still kind of working the kinks out on that.
That's awesome. I'm so excited. I'll make sure you guys, I don't know if I have any mods in here to drop MK's link, but I will make sure to drop his link shortly and make sure you guys go over and subscribe. And I'd
I'm
love
trying
to
to get
attend
like a legit QVC set use. I'm seeing. I'm
that would
trying. That's
be
what I'm trying to work out
awesome.
right now.
Okay.
But what were we talking about?
All right, so I was going over to Waco. So the Waco siege, was also known as the Waco massacre, was the law enforcement siege of the compound that belonged to the religious sect Branch Davidians. It was carried out by the U.S. federal government in Texas and the U.S. military between February 28th and April 19th. Okay, so you guys have to realize how long, well, not long, but like it was long, like for what it was. The Branch Davidians were led by David Koresh and were headquartered at the Mount Carroll Center Ranch in the community of Axtell, Texas. It was suspecting the group of stockpiling illegal weapons. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms obtained a search warrant for the compound and arrest warrants for Koresh, as well as a select few of the group's members. Obviously, that didn't end well. The incident began when ATF attempted to serve a search warrant and an arrest warrant on the ranch. An intense gunfire erupted, resulting in the deaths of 4 government agents and 6 Branch Davidians. Upon the ATF's entering of the property and failure to execute the search warrant, a siege lasting 51 days was initiated by the FBI. Eventually, the FBI launched an assault and initiated a tear gas attack in attempt to force the Branch Davidians out of the ranch. Shortly thereafter, the Mount Carmel Center became engulfed in flames. The fire resulted in the death of 76 Branch Davidians, including 25 children, 2 pregnant women, and David Koresh. The events of the siege and attack are disputed by various sources. And over the particular
Mostly
controversy
disputed by the
over the
ATF.
origin of the fire. Sorry, go ahead.
That was probably one of the worst things that ever probably happened. The ATF could have handled that completely differently. They sprayed tear gas for 18 hours straight onto children. Oh yeah, absolutely. They were no threat.
I'm gonna leave
they were
the
never
screen
any
just
threat.
to get your link. Keep talking. I'm gonna leave the screen to get
They
your
didn't.
link, but go on.
They essentially like the ATF surrounded them and cut them off from food and water for a very long period of time, and there was no active threat against it. All they had was this illegal guns, which they did have, but it should have never led to tanks going through the front door and tear gas and grenades and a shootout. Because they had never, even during the standoff, they never wanted to shoot at anybody until the initial shooting started when the ATF attempted to breach through the second floor window. And once they broke into the window, that's when the first firings actually happened. In terms of it was a weird, complex situation, but the ATF just kept pressuring them to the point where they were kind of put into a corner. And like, if you put any wild animal in the corner, it's going to attack. And they could have handled that completely differently through negotiation. Their initial warrant, I think there was a shot fired. I think an ATF agent was injured. He might have even got shot and killed, but I mean, still, you have 25 children. That would have been the main focus of any type of. You would negotiate until the end. You know what I mean? For those 25 children, I would have never went in with tanks and began shooting tear gas, knowing that there's 25 young children in there. That should have never happened. There's no reason for it to happen. If we have tanks, you can just stay in the tanks. You know what I mean? You can just sit in the tanks and wait all day long. We were under no threat. Now, this led to, but what more importantly than Waco is that led to the Oklahoma City bombing.
Can you go into that a bit?
Well, because David Koresh was sort of a libertarian kind of guy, didn't want to pay taxes or any of that stuff. He wanted nothing to do with the government, really. This led to the mid-'90s white supremacists kind of rebelling scare. What was that book called? There was a book. Sure. I'm thinking. This is going off topic from cults, but it's an interesting road. What led to that? There was a book that was written called The Turner Diaries, I believe it was called. And it was a fictional book about a guy surviving in the post-apocalyptic America after a civil war. And that, for some reason, it was kind of like one of those Catcher in the Rye kind of books where there was like an immediate fear of the contents inside of it. And it was kind of like a controversial book. And the government had this huge fear of an internal civil war starting. And when Waco went off, that was sort of a trigger to a lot of the smaller hate groups in the country, which led to the Oklahoma City building, which is kind of a conspiracy in of itself too. Wherever you go in this conspiracy, there's always an FBI agent that was undercover, which I always find suspicious. And they're always involved.
I remember when watching the footage and stuff, there were people who camped outside of Waco and would be selling shirts and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
While this whole standoff was going on.
Yeah, it went on for a long time. Especially like, when any cop would I think would be able to negotiate, like, especially when you got control of, like, there's only so much food and water they got, so you can maybe negotiate some surrenderings, and just go from there. Regardless of if you got tanks, you never should have used them. Just get in your tanks and wait.
Just so just strange.
It's a strange incident, and it was a lot of like, it was a lot of bad things happening. It was all bad things converging on one point.
I'm trying to like scroll and find my Waco notes. Hold on.
Anybody remember the Anarchist Cookbook back in?
Anarchist Cookbook?
Yeah, that was like pre kind of internet, getting into the internet. There was this like thing called the Anarchist Cookbook, and that was like kind of connected with the Turner Diaries and the Oklahoma City and Waco, because it was like basically a bomb building stuff. It was all just like a book detailing all these types of things you can do, and it was like, I remember it was really weird. But the rumor was always that if you bought the book, you would be put on some some blacklist, in the government somewhere. And that
I feel like I've heard about this.
Yeah, and supposedly like some of the recipes for bombs in the book are wrong to intentionally go off when someone's building them. So it was like this really weird time, that like mid to late 90s.
Okay. I'm just laughing because like if you buy a book, you're put on. Wilson knows exactly what you're referring to.
Which is in the movie Conspiracy Theory starring Mel Gibson. He had this obsession with, he had to buy Catcher in the Rye. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And the reason was that's how they tracked him. They would all their agents, sleeper agents, had the same obsession, so they could track wherever people were buying Catcher in the Rye at. That was probably one of their agents. And I was like, that's kind of ingenious to program something like that.
Okay, so here So the Branch Davidians broke off from the Davidian Seventh-day Adventists in 1955, but didn't make headlines until the infamous Waco siege of 1993. In 1981, David Koresh, born Vernon Howell, took over the group, which was headquartered at a commune called Mount Carmel. After allegations of child abuse within the commune, which is fucking horrible, but you hear about that a lot in these cults, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives attempted to raid the Mount Carmel, but a gun battle erupted and 10 people were killed. The FBI then launched a siege that lasted for 51 days and ended with the compound being destroyed by fire. Koresh was killed, along with 76 others. A governmental investigation later concluded that the Branch Davidians had started the fire themselves.
Which is not true. They were firing weapons from they claimed that they weren't even shooting guns with the tanks, but if you watch the flare imaging of the tanks going in, you can see the muzzle flashes. They claimed that was sunlight reflecting, but it wasn't. It was
the same when the towers are going down and you see bombs go off and way below where the plane hit. That was just poofs of smoke too, right?
Same thing. You didn't see nothing to see here.
You didn't see shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they claim it was sun reflection, but sun reflection doesn't put off heat, so it wouldn't pick up on flare. It was definitely fire coming out of them tanks.
And it's just strange. Again, what would lead people? Because it's one thing as an individual, but I hold being a parent to a different standard, if that makes sense. You no longer think about your own best interest, you think about your child's best interest. And what I don't understand is how parents are willing to sacrifice their own children for the beliefs of what one person preaching.
Well, that goes more into Jonestown, whereas with Waco, the children were kind of stuck there. I would think most of the parents would have wanted the children to get out at some point. They were more bottleneck in, but with Jonestown now, you have more of that side of the cult aspect where the children are involved. And I remember the Moonies up in Pennsylvania. They were all over the place. Does anybody remember the Moonies?
The Moonies, no.
They were like a cool cult. They never like did anything crazy. They kind of same kind of thing. Like they're a new age kind of group thing, and it was all chill. But they did have like some weird aspects, like arranged marriages. They would do these like match tests, and they would match people based on their test in the group. So like I knew a girl that was the product of a Mooney's planned marriage. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
A Mooney's planned marriage. I've seen some fucked up like arranged marriages with like it's like a 67-year-old or 70-year-old man with a 12-year-old girl. Fucked up.
And that's why I say the Moonies were kind of chill. They never went creepy like that. I think they match people more evenly. But but with like a place like Jonestown or something where you have this very charismatic leader, and it is in the setting of a church, you know, that's another thing that kind of lulls you into it. But yeah, you get your children into it because it's a good church, a good community, and all that. But then somewhere down the road,
doesn't always have to be religious, and that's what I want to focus on too. Is you guys, a lot of these famous cults in publicity are always usually something regarding religion, but there are many cults that have no ties to religion whatsoever.
That would get into like Nxivm kind of thing.
Nxivm, which is Keith Raniere, which started in 1998, and it was a self-help organization and workshops and classes on empowerment, and more than 18,000 people joined. And there were followers across North America until 2017, when members came forward and exposed the abusive practices of a secret society within the group. The women originally joined under false pretenses of becoming a sisterhood and empowering one another, and it turned into a sex cult and a pyramid scheme within the entire thing.
Yeah, and that has that celebrity connection too, where it's this hook on them. Like that's at least with this one, we know exactly what the selling point is. You get this workshop. It sounds more like you doing things. Right. There'll be workshops. You're going to learn things. You're gonna help other people. It sounds great. Sounds great on paper.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, these cults, I can understand a little bit better versus someone who's saying, "Oh, I spoke to God. I'm God's messenger." I'm not going to just take your word for that. But a cult like this is something you join under false pretenses. You did not know it was a cult. You're joining because you're trying to better yourself. You're trying to find a community. You're trying to empower yourself. And little do you know, within this workshops and classes and organization is a cult. It's a sex cult and pyramid scheme. And the things Keith had these women doing, and this is the most vicious part, is he had women targeting other women. He didn't even need to do it himself. He had other women targeting women and bringing them in.
And we see that with the Epstein thing with Ghislaine.
Yes, Ghislaine. Yep.
Ghislaine, whatever. But it's like it's the same thing. Well, I've never seen a situation where it's like that's shockingly common. It's the lure is a woman that is used to lure others in. I think some women have that, like guys do. It's like that with the cult leadership mentality. You also have that feeling of power when you are the person fishing for people. I think they get something sick out of that. That's anybody. That's not like gender specific, but it's
No.
like if your role is to grab somebody, or like you're the guy that's bringing people in, you're like slightly up higher on that echelon, and that's definitely a sense of power in that.
Well, Keith Raniere even was able to manage getting an audience with the Dalai Lama. He sat on stage with the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama promoted him.
Yeah. But that's one of those things the Dalai Lama does it. Like, I'm sure the Dalai Lama was just sitting there like, oh, here's this guy that runs this like self-help group.
No,
And
it
he's just
was
like
one
going
of
along with it.
Keith's followers who was really rich and stuff and was able to manage doing it. And the Dalai Lama just agreed to it without even fully looking into him.
Anything. Oh, yeah.
But
that's the thing I wish everyone could remember, is that anybody would get paid to say anything. There's a price for everything, including the Dalai Lama. Jet fuel ain't free.
but he literally deemed himself the next Dalai Lama. Like, and what I want to try to understand is people's mentality to why would you believe this? Why would you, when money and power is mixed, people get out of control. Look at how bad it gets even on YouTube, right? With someone whose channel grows fast, or they make a bunch of super chats, they turn and they twist into something nasty and evil.
Well, it's all dependent on what their intentions are. Like, I'll point to like Ethan Ralph, who was someone who was like, he's part of internet lore. You can Google and YouTube Ethan Ralph and find out all the disgusting things about him. But that was someone who found a niche, filled that niche, became very popular very fast, and then got so big it just eventually imploded on itself because the person began thinking too highly upon themselves. They began thinking they were more important than what they were. And you see, I see that all the time on the internet. I've seen so many rises and falls and redemption arcs, and and that's kind of the part of the fun. And I think that's kind of why cults never seem to like die off. Like, there's never a period of time where like there isn't, like, there's always cults and will always be cults. The rise of the internet and mass communication didn't slow it down at all. It just increased it, if anything.
And yeah, Muslim man, great point. All right, let's transition into Jim Jones and the People's Temple, one of the most, popular cults out there, and one of the most devastating cults out there. And that makes you.
The Muslim man comment with Jim Jones. Why did he drink the Kool-Aid? Didn't he like shoot like a CIA agent or like an or like a senator or something?
Some people, but like he did have connections. Connections. Sorry, hold on.
Oh yeah, but didn't he like kill them? Like, wasn't there like a shootout at the airport, and then he went back to the compound, and that's when the Kool-Aid started? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Basically, he was getting exposed, so he led people to believe that they were going to live in this, this beautiful area of, Guyanda, I think it was called, in the jungle, and create a settlement and live amongst each other. When there was like the really nasty wars going on and race was an issue, people wanted to live amongst each other in peace, in unity, not be judged. And they followed Jim Jones under this guise. And when they got there, he bought a plot of land for dirt cheap, but it was up to them to do hard physical labor, and they were being fed nothing. Okay. And Jim Jones ended up going with drugs, with sex, with power, with money. He ended up just going crazier and crazier to the point where he was caught. People were trying to leave and they weren't allowed to leave. And so he was visited by part of the government. I forgot who exactly it was. I'll have to look it up. But basically, someone slipped this man a note while they were there saying that they were trapped and they couldn't leave. And he approached Jim Jones about it. And you could watch this footage of him just laughing it off and denying. And basically, there was this huge, when that guy went to go leave, there was this huge shootout with the plane getting off the tarmac and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so Jones knew that they were about to be raided. They were about to be found. He was about to be raided and about to be found. All the people were safe. But then you listen to the audio of him explaining to all the people that they need to kill themselves. And it's the most chilling audio because there are certain people who were like, yes, let's do it. It wasn't just a news guy, Akasha. It was someone connected.
Yeah, there was some sort of a ambassador of some sort, or so there was like an authority there.
Yeah, there was an authority, and there may have been a news guy too he may have been the one recording it.
Yeah, I want to say there was like a Senate, there was maybe a senator,
there was like
or
a senator or something. Yeah, and so instead of just realizing he was getting caught and that he was going to get arrested, he convinced all these people, 779 or something, like well over 700 people, that they had to kill themselves, and that don't worry, like this is what's going to happen. And you hear these half the people saying, yes, let's do it, like we're with you, and the other half are pleading, but wait, is this our only option? Do we have to do this? And you could hear how yipped up he is fucking high, and people were pleading for their lives, yet half the people willingly drank the Kool-Aid. If you didn't drink, people were standing there armed and they will shoot you. And he advised the parents to inject your young kids first and then drink it yourself. Hey, Heather. Yeah. Yes, there's audio of it, KDK. I could try to find it now. But hold on, I'm gonna drop the link for anybody who's interested in coming up.
But like ultimately for Jim Jones, I think that was more his way out. Everyone else just went with him.
But he didn't even drink the Kool-Aid.
No, he didn't but he knew that the doors were closed and that it was over, So it wasn't like his belief in some other beyond. It was more or less him trying to get out with whatever pride he had left or ego.
Oh, I know, just me. I know it sucks. I can't screen share anymore or anything. Hey, Holly. Hey, Josh. Oh, my boyfriend, Josh. Hey.
I would love to show everybody the original picture that my avatar is, because it's the greatest thing. I know. The Heaven's Gate thing is really fun to watch because it's like, it's tragic in the end, but in terms of like this Marshall Applewhite was like such an interesting guy. Like
he was
the way he presented himself is like exactly how you would think a cult member would present himself. Exactly like it.
But what do you think? Well, I'm going to try to find the audio. But what do you think the reason would be that so many people would be willing to literally kill themselves because this one person tells you? And when you hear the audio, let me tell you, he wasn't reliable. He wasn't comforting. You could tell he was fucked up, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we gotta kill ourselves, kill your children, let's go." And people are like,
"Oh, I would imagine he was probably like geeked out because there was a lot of illegal stuff going on too, in terms of his property being in a South American country. There was a lot of illegal shit going on, money moving, and I'm sure there was cocaine involved somewhere along the lines if you're down there."
Okay.
What drives people into these things is the same thing across the board. It's just this whatever feeling this person gives you makes you feel more powerful, stronger.
Brainwashing.
Making in that case where you got that many people, it's this purpose of duty kind of thing going on. But we're going to be able to build a village together, and that's probably great. That's probably a lot of fun for a while until the Kool-Aid.
Yep. Well, like I said, they were under this guise that they were going to be living in this community amongst peace, but it was hard physical fucking labor. They had to create it themselves, like physical and they were being fed nothing.
And I believe there was something about, I think the country that they were in, I can't remember the name, but was it Uganda? Guyana? Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I think the government promised that they would help clear out land and all that for them, but when they got
something like that,
something like that didn't happen. Like there was some confusion about it. And I think the government was very corrupt there too, and was kind of trying to. All the doors were closed on all sides of them because I think that country's government was trying to get some money off of these people because they saw what it was. Everyone saw what it was. I think that's the thing that's frustrating when these situations happen, because it's like most people can see with their eyes what's going on. It's if you just open them.
So I have the audio. I can't play the whole thing because it's 45 minutes, but let's see if I could get like a clip on it.
But in spite of all of that I've tried, a handful of our people with their lives have made our life impossible. There's no way to detach ourselves from what's happened today. Not only we're in a compound situation, not only are there those who have left and committed the betrayal of the century, some have stolen children from others and they're in pursuit right now to kill them because they stole their children. And we are sitting here waiting on a powder keg. I don't think this is what we want to do with our babies. I don't think that's what we had in mind to do with our babies. It was said by the greatest of prophets from time immemorial, no man takes my life from me, I lay my life down. So to sit here and wait for the catastrophe that's going to happen on that airplane, it's going to be a catastrophe. Or almost happened here. Almost happened. The congressman is nearly killed here. But you can't steal people's children. You can't take off with people's
Listen to them
children
cheering him
without
on.
expecting a violent reaction. And that's not so unfamiliar to us either. Even if we were Judeo-Christian, if we weren't communists.
So hold on, let me get to the point where people start questioning him.
And be kind to seniors.
Because it's sad. They're like, wait, is this what we have to do? You know, like, there has to be another option. They don't want to kill their children. Some were okay with it, others not.
Whose mother has been lying now. Maybe the next time you get to go to Russia, the next time round. What I'm talking about now is in the dispensation of judgment. This is a revolutionary suicide council. I'm not talking about self-destruction. I'm talking about your life has been extended to the day that you're standing there because of him. Well, it's like this. She has much right to speak to anybody else, too.
Wait, that's the part. Right here.
I think
hold on.
Immense amount of damage is going to be done. Then he'll destroy himself. I'm speaking here not as the administrator, I'm speaking as a prophet today. I wouldn't step in this deep and talk so serious if I didn't know what I was talking about. If there's any way to call back, the immense amount of damage is going to be done. But I cannot separate myself from the pain of my people. And you can't either, Christine, if you stop to think about it. You can't separate yourself. We've walked too long together. I know that, but I still think as an individual, I have a right to... You do, and I'm listening. What I think, what I feel, and I think we all have a right to our own destiny as individuals. Right. And I think I have a right to choose mine, and everybody else has a right to choose theirs. Mm-hmm. You know? I'm not criticizing. I'm not criticizing. What's that? That's what I said today. That's what plenty of people said today with their lives. I think I still have a right to my own opinion.
He didn't want to drink the Kool-Aid.
Christine, you're only standing here because he was here in the first place. So I don't know what you're talking about, having an individual life. Your life has been extended to the day that you're standing there because of him. Well, it's like this. She has much right to speak to anybody else, too. What'd you say, Ruby? You regret it this very day if you don't die.
You will regret it if you don't die.
You'll regret it. Too many people. I saved them, but I made my example. I made my expression. I made my manifestation. And the world was ready, not ready for me. Paul said, I'm a man born out of due season. I've been born out of due season just like all we are. And the best testimony we can make is to leave this goddamn world.
I would suggest everyone to listen to like the full audio of that. I'm not going to make you sit here and listen to it all, but like you need to listen because this is the 45 minutes leading up to them killing themselves. And them killing others who didn't follow along. But not everybody was on board, okay? But what I want to know is for the people who did willingly inject their children with cyanide and drank the Kool-Aid themselves, did they genuinely believe in this man? Or was it cult-like mentality where it wouldn't be cult-like mentality, it was a cult, but you're swayed by the masses. You are no longer thinking of an individual, you are thinking as a group.
Yeah, I mean, that situation, he's not talking about anything like in any type of spiritual sense, really. The main point that I got from what he was saying was just like, oh, I'm fine, Akash. I was making coffee. The main point he was kind of getting at was like, hey, we're about to get like fire and brimstone on us. So we're going to go out on our own accord. And I think that's kind of why some people were hesitant, because this is sort of a knee-jerk reaction to, just a light shootout at the airport. But when you got people believing everything you're saying, like he mentioned, there'll be aircraft going over. It's going to be devastation. It's like, yeah, do you want to be alive to get bombed, or are you taking the Kool-Aid? And that's an interesting one too, because it's not like this wasn't planned out too far ahead. This was just like a backup plan to.
Well, no, they did trials. They did suicide trials.
Oh, did they?
Practices. Yes, they did.
I knew that obviously they had the cyanide, so they were prepared for something. But I was kind of thinking that was more of like a last resort kind of thing.
What flavor Kool-Aid? It was red. It was red, Nicole. At least it's good flavor. But like, I want to understand what makes people believe someone so easily they go against their better judgment. And I can only go off my experience, and obviously I wasn't part of a cult, but I was part of a channel that felt like a cult-like mentality. And it was only after I stepped out of it that I realized there were such obvious things. There's such obvious things that, why wasn't my head working at that time? Why wasn't it? And it's because you're ostracized if you do speak out, the same way that one was just ostracized if she does speak out. And the other people who feel similar aren't going to speak out now themselves, because look what just happened to that person. And so you just agree because you don't want to be the one not agreeing. Oh, it was great, Molson. Thank you.
Well, and that sort of pressure too, you see it all over. You even see it on 24-hour news when they got a bunch of panels up there. There's always an odd man out. There's always the boogeyman. There's always the bad guy.
Yeah.
They always set it up that way, and that always keeps people in line when you set it up like that for 100 different reasons. That no one wants to be the odd man.
It's been a while, Trent. Sorry, it's been a while since Trent came in.
Oh, Trent's back? Right on.
Yeah.
I missed him. I didn't like him when he was there before, but then I missed him when he was gone, and I was like, "Where's he at?"
We were just talking about you earlier. Peacock, you gotta let me fly, Akasha. But yeah, sorry, go on with what you were saying. I got distracted because it was Trent.
I bet you them cheap bastards didn't even like sugar it up any.
What makes you think that people just blindly follow someone? Do you think that they are lacking something in themselves, and so when they join these places, they're getting it or filling that void to the point where they feel loyal? That what is it? Ooh, Chrissy has anarchist.
Because I've always had a very obey little and resist much kind of mentality. I've always had a conspiratorial mind, so I never trusted anything. So I guess maybe trust is the thing there. Some people are just more trusting,
But you can't. That goes beyond trusting. That's taking your child's life.
Well, that's the thing where, I can't answer this.
I know, but we gotta theorize.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's obviously some people who are more trusting than me, and they're falling into traps. I tend not to, because I've always been very conspiratorial. I don't trust anything. So that's got to be a link there. So we start with talking about trust and how that gets in line with people. Because
Heather, you could come up and talk about
Jones
it if
is
you'd
kind
like.
of a weird one, because it's because of how it ended. Whereas like Heaven's Gate, where it's like everyone's just believing it. Everyone
Right.
believes it, truly believes it in this whole situation, and that's because they all trust each other on that one, and they're all loyal to this idea. And no one questioned it. I'm sure obviously no one questioned it. They put themselves in bags, and But with Jim Jones, now you have the forced kind of execution going on.
And same
But
with
there was
Waco,
resistance. Even at that point, though, that there was resistance, and there was people that was like, "Okay, wait a minute, that's too far." Just like Scientology, you hit that Xenu wall, and you go, "Wait a minute, what?" And then sometimes that's where it has to go before you realize, "Oh crap, I put too much faith in this person," or at least the idea of what this person was preaching about. Because like I said, if I like wanted to start a village somewhere, like a commune somewhere, it's like, hey, would be real chill, make a community center, we'll live in little tiny homes, we grow our own food. It all sounds kind of fun, right?
It does.
It sounds kind of cool.
About that. And
We're all
just
gonna
you're talking
drive
about
Toyota
love has won.
Corollas. We're gonna wear tracksuits. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, it's the idea of let's live off the land, let's live in harmony and peace, and that's kind of what love has won is, just me. And that's still a current cult going on, but it's just
Wasn't Amway like Amway was another cult too of recent times?
yeah. But if it came down to, like, I don't know, man, like Scientology, okay, it is obvious it's about money. It is obvious that shit's not real. That doesn't mean that it's not based off of somewhat real beliefs, like what I said. Same thing with Heaven's Gate. Wait, this is kind of similar beliefs of what I have, but that doesn't mean I'm just going to follow someone blindly to the point where you are not being logical. You're just totally dismissing all of those signs and red flags.
Yeah, I knew a girl who got into a cult, and she was like, it's kind of like a small town girl. She was kind of like lived outside of Wilmington, in like one of the more country towns in the rural area, and she was like just naturally a very naive person. And she got in this cult in like Texas, and like she went along with it for a long time. So I think that's another thing about it too, where like you get people from kind of a small area, they don't have a big worldview, and you entice them into this situation. Like with Scientology, you walk in and you see, like we were saying, you see these beautiful buildings, these palaces, and you have these people who have their shit together. A guy in a $3,000 suit comes up to you. He's pitching this great thing. Tom Cruise is there. That's how you kind of start getting into it. I can see how that happens.
Yeah.
But with Xenu, once again, with Scientology, they're promising this afterlife thing, or this and answers to your living life now. And so that one I can see why that one grew as large as it did, whereas a lot of the other ones are more niche kind of communities. They're finding people, because Jim Jones traveled all over the country, like doing services, so he could rope in his specific people, his followers. That's another thing too. These people are following him. They literally put down what they're doing to follow him. So once again, you get so invested personally into these things. There's a point where you're either going to be in denial and just going to keep going with it, or some people wake up, like that woman was like, why can't we all make our own choices? Exactly. Everyone should be making their own choices.
Right. Heather, you could come up if you'd like. What makes you think, now because we have Charles Manson too, right? He even had his little cult.
Yeah, that was definitely a cult too.
Yeah, it was definitely a cult. But do you see similarities of people? Yep, Heather. Do you see similarities of people on these YouTube streets, or these YouTube creators are similar to a cult-like fashion? And if so, explain.
Well, yeah, like jumping back to Ethan and Ralph, who was running this like live streaming site. It was all internet blood sports. He was getting a lot of people who were just into that drama entertainment. But then as he started to implode, you had like his main henchmen that would just cover for him no matter what. And this was a guy who used to make fun of fat people. But then when the camera finally got on him, he was a big fat guy. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, he's lying about that. But then his henchmen just kind of covered up. Don't even worry about it. Why are you even making fun of him? Why are you fast shaming? It turns out they always turn it around. And it was interesting to watch that implosion. There's actually like a 2 or 3 hour documentary about the whole internet blood sports, which has like multiple near cult leaders involved in it. But you kind of see where deflection becomes a big thing. And that's what we get to see on the internet. We get to see a lot of people deflecting.
Yep.
Which is only that has a finite time to be around. Deflection only works for so long. I've never seen it like solid deflection last more than like 6 months to a year on the internet, because people, you always get the new people kind of rotating through, but people are hanging around. Eventually they just get bored.
Hi, Heather.
Hey guys.
What's up?
I missed you.
Missed you too. I know. I've been waiting for you to return.
This week has been crazy,
I'm sure. I know.
but in the best kind of way.
Good. I'm glad you got escaped from the YouTube drama a little bit.
For real. I wish you were there too,
I
though.
know.
Like, I feel like it would have been a good distraction for you.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if I would honestly even be like available to. And actually wouldn't have been, because my phone and laptop broke. So you know what? It wouldn't have happened.
Right.
But
sucks. I can't believe your fucking laptop did it too, dude.
a couple of days later, like
That's
I have, like, when it rains it pours for me, which sucks because now I don't have the ability to share my screen. I don't have the ability to turn on subscribers only or members only lives, do a members live. I can't do anything.
What if somebody had your stuff? Could they do it?
Oh no, Molson, wait, hold on. Molson, that's Trent, and no, I'm not letting him on panel because it's a troll, and all he's gonna do is play back our own audio and derail the chat. And now prepare yourself, because the comments are gonna say I'm horrible and shit like that. So just forewarning, a heads up.
Most of man's comment, YouTube is a total cult too. It's like a cult farm, but in the same way TV is also a cult farm.
Well, and that's kind of like why I popped up, MJ, is, you know, you asked the question, like, why do people join cults? And
yeah.
I think a big reason, I think people just want to belong somewhere. Like I think that maybe people who are outsiders or struggling, like, these are people that cults like prey on, you know, like if somebody is going through turmoil in their life, or I don't know, they're just looking for something bigger. And you know,
that's a good point you just brought up, Heather. They do prey upon people who are usually on a low spot in their life. Exactly. Much like ambulance chasers. That's a good point.
Right. And so you know, they prey on the weak, and unfortunately then they use that to their advantage, and it's wild to see it happen, you know, but it does. I think I've told you about it, Melissa, but so I didn't know. I was raised in a cult. And I say that like laughing.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, I never knew it to be a cult, and I wouldn't say that like there was people you know, like we to kill each other, kill ourselves or whatever. But there are people that consider it a cult. I was raised in Christian Science. I don't know if any of you guys, MK, have you heard of it?
I have heard of that. That does definitely ring a bell.
So basically, what's fucked up about them is that once you become a member of the church, you're not supposed to use medical care. Like, you're supposed to put all your faith in God. And like, I thought it was cool when I was a kid, because then I hated shots. And so, you know, they'd be like,
the gravity.
Yeah. And they'd be like, oh, you don't have, you know, I can play my Christian Science card and I don't have to get the shots to go to school. Like, and I don't want to say that my mom was brought in the church. Like, my dad was raised in it with my grandma. And so and it's weird because both of my parents were hospital professionals. Um,
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
it's very weird. And at one point, my dad actually worked at a nursing home for Christian Science. Like, there's nursing homes for them all over. There's a college in Boston that I wanted to go to. I'm like, oh, I really want to go to Principia, but basically they teach it's it's off of um one person's interpretation of the Bible, and it's Mary
Yes.
Baker Eddy. And that's where I think, before, like as a kid, and honestly, I quit going and it was no big deal. Like my parents were like, or my dad especially, he's like, well, you should go to church. And I'm like, yeah, but they can never fucking answer my questions. And I would literally be in Sunday school and like ask questions and cry because I would be so frustrated because I was unsatisfied with the answers that they were giving. And like they had like this, it's something that we would say like at the end of every Sunday school, and it was like scientific statement of being. And like, even I have cousins that still are in the church, and their theory is well, let's see, I can remember part of it. There is no life, truth, intelligence, nor substance in matter. All is infinite mind is and is infinite manifestation. And that's yeah, that's just part of it. But it's so weird. Like I haven't done that for 30, 40, well, 30 some years, and like to still fucking remember that, it's weird. Um,
It was
but
drilled into your mind.
yeah, like
Brainwashing.
yeah. But so the fucked up thing is, and this is kind of like as an adult, my dad got sick with cancer and he was dying, and um he had worked at their nursing home, which they don't provide any medical, like you just go and it's basically you just go to die. And they do have nurses, but to my knowledge, they don't dispense medicine and stuff like that. Um, so
Sounds very similar to Mother Teresa's hospital for like the suffering in India. It wasn't
uh,
there wasn't treatment happening there. It was just a place to go and die,
right.
basically.
Yeah. So I don't know what I was saying. Oh, yeah. So basically, they just said that since God is love, um, there is no sickness. Like if you are sick, it's because you think that it's sickness. But what fucking sealed the deal for me is when my dad was dying, like I said, um, he hadn't been to church in quite some time, but instead of doctors, they have what they call our practitioners. And he called this specific practitioner who he'd worked with before, um, like a long time ago, I guess. And, you know, he basically would talk to my dad on the phone, he'd pray with him, he would do lesson plans and like um, study and then share them with my dad. Well, my dad ended up passing away because he fucking had cancer. And after he passed away, we got a bill in the mail for this guy charging us to pray for my fucking dad. Like, who does that?
What?
Yeah,
Whoa,
yeah. So
that's
Oh,
fucked up.
I
awful.
know someone who would do something like that.
I'm
Yeah, I
sorry
do
about your
too.
father passing though. That's horrible. That,
Yeah,
that
it was, but it's I don't know. It sucks. Eh, but I think too, like I saw as a kid, like how much fun other churches could be, because like I would spend the night at a girlfriend's house, and then I'd go to church with her family and they would have like youth group and they would do all this fun shit. Like our church never did any of that shit. Like
Yeah.
we didn't have a choir, we didn't have you know
I always wanted my church to have a choir. Like,
yeah, a youth group, nothing. Like we didn't have snacks like the other one I went to. They would have like like it was just fun. Like we'd do crafts and stuff. Like none of that shit ever happened. And it's just, I don't know. So I feel like that's culty when you have one person who is dictating how something should be interpreted or interpreted? Yeah, interpreted. Um, that's when it becomes, kind of fucked up and
And
sketchy.
yeah, 100%. And just like Molson said, there are cults on YouTube and they have an open platform to spread their evil around. So I know you just came in, but me and MK just basically bounced around and need like we did like a brief synopsis about 5 different cults. But again, it's not just always about religious beliefs. So there's basically 10 guidelines of how to identify if you're in a cult. And I've read it off before, but like I'll read it off quickly again. And you guys, you could apply it to YouTube, you could apply it in your everyday life, like, and see if things stick out for you. Because the first
I'm laughing
sign that
because
you're in a cult, sorry, what'd you
no,
say?
no, no, no. No, I'm laughing because I feel like I don't know if you've read this before. Maybe you haven't, or maybe you have, but I think it's very I just know it's coming. And it's very conducive to a certain creator we know.
Yes, it is.
So,
So, number 1, just like Heather said, the leader is the ultimate authority. If you're not allowed to criticize your leader, and again, take out leader. Trent, I'm sorry, you're not coming on. This is an actual content live, and I'm not doing it today. Don't just think leader, like, and people are like, oh, worship. No, because majority of the times you don't realize that this person is the way they are until you leave the situation. People who got out of the People's Temple, did not realize how it was until now. They're the few people that did, now looking hindsight, and that's not how they viewed it at the time. So if you're not allowed to criticize your leader, even if the criticism is true, you're probably in a cult. Cults begin with a charismatic leader who claims some supreme knowledge. Again, you could come back to Heaven's Gate, right? Where we witness the revelation, like we are the chosen ones, follow us. Same thing with Chad Daybell, and he was somewhat cultish, claiming he has this knowledge that nobody else has. They may call themselves a prophet, a messiah, a messenger, or an enlightened teacher. They can also be CEOs, military officials, politicians, and self-help gurus like the Nxivm, right? Keith, um, we have Keith Raniere. Same thing, right? This is an organization. It's a self-help organization and workshops and classes on empowerment. So cult leaders convince members to forfeit their critical thinking ability in return for a sense of belonging, authority, and purpose. And that's exactly what I had just asked MK right before he got up. I'm like, what would make these people separate and turn off their logic and what is sensical, like, or nonsensical, and just blindly follow someone? And that is,
to belong.
oh my God, Trent, stop it. And it doesn't matter to members. It doesn't matter what the evidence or logic may suggest. The leader is always right and their misdeeds are always justified. Criticism of the leader is forbidden. So again, even with people speaking out at the People's Temple, like I said, well, wait, I don't think this is the right way. Or anyone who may have doubted Manson, when he was going on this, directing them to go on this murder spree. No. You can't speak out. You can't go against, even if what I'm saying is totally irrational. You must follow.
And if you go against that, you're shunned.
Yes. Or you're excommunicated, like Scientology.
Yep.
They're not even shunned, but they collected blackmail evidence on you. They're completely destroy you.
Yes. And they instill fear to where
people feel like
you
they
almost
can't
do
leave.
not know how to live outside of this system. Oh my goodness. Trent, please stop it. I
Who's
told you,
Trent?
Molson.
He's a fucking
Trent?
troll.
Did you say who's Trent?
Yeah, which one's Trent?
He's a
Trent is the
troll.
troll that always comes in and derails my chat. I have about 50 accounts blocked,
No, but I'm
and he
saying what
keeps
account
coming
is
in.
it?
And if I trust me, I've let him on panel. But
Yeah,
when
I
he's a
know.
content live, you're not going to derail my chat or my live. But if I let him on, all he's going to do is play back our YouTube audio so we hear ourselves or play a song. That's it. I've done this many times before. Um, so 2, the group suppresses skepticism. If you're only allowed to study your organization through approved sources, you're probably in a cult. And you guys, again, that doesn't necessarily mean Bibles or texts or what. Okay, take it in the YouTube stance.
Mm-hmm. Don't
You
watch any
cannot,
other creators.
yes,
Because
do not
I'm
watch
the.
these hate channels.
Mm-hmm.
Do not watch the opposition. They're just spewing bullshit. I don't even want you to give them views. No. There's a reason they're doing that. The reason they're doing that is because they don't want you to even have knowledge or to see any evidence or to have people discussing the opposition about what they may be doing and bullshit like that. So they just don't want, you are not allowed to see it. Same with Scientology. Remember when I said they don't have access the way we do? We could just look up Scientology. They don't have that. So they're really in the dark. They really have to get to the top to even find out about Xenu and this is what we're doing here and this is your soul, blah, 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 blah. So they intentionally cut you off from those outside sources. So you don't you don't know better and you can't educate yourself to know better.
Yep.
In most situations, a cult leader has one trait to begin with, and that's charisma. That's the first necessary ingredient. The self-appointed kings and queens of YouTube lack that basic ingredient. Yeah. Okay, Boston. So cults view critical thinking as an infectious disease, and every effort is made to suppress it.
Mm-hmm.
Doubting members are encouraged to isolate themselves from outside influences and focus solely on the doctrine of the cult. Criticism is forbidden. People who contradict the group are viewed as persecutors and are often given labels like anti, apostate, or suppressive person. Members are discouraged from consuming any material that is critical of the group. It just
Yeah, and
nails
think
so
about
much.
critical thinking too. How they kind of implement that is by changing all the rules of normality. So you're judging people on a completely different basis
Yep.
than what you should be, and that's all you have to do to cut off critical thinking.
Checking all the boxes.
Yep.
And like I don't know, man. Like I just don't see how people and 2, I think, when you're in it, like I guess when you're in a cult, people might try to reach out to you and be like, yo, you're in a cult, fam. They're like, no, I'm not. And they like double down on the shit. And it's like, my God, how you can't see it because you're in it. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucked up.
And once you leave and once you step out of it, you realize what it's not what was I thinking? Why wasn't I thinking? Why didn't I see so clearly what's visible to me now?
Well, because your agenda is you're given like a new agenda, and it's not aligning with anybody else in your life. That right there, when people are telling you, "Hey, I think something's up. I think you might be in something shady," you know the real truth. Wink, wink. You know what I mean? And that's a big part of it too. No, these people are doing it wrong. So yeah, of course they're telling you that you're in the wrong situation because these people are wrong about everything. And you go, oh yeah, of course. That's a big part of it.
It's so strange though. It really is. So number 3, the group delegitimizes former members. If you can't think of a legitimate reason for leaving your group, you're probably in a cult because the cult considers itself the ultimate authority on truth. It can't imagine anybody leaving it with their integrity intact. Thus, it has to perpetuate a false narrative that former members were deceived, proud, immoral, or lazy. If former members speak out, they are dismissed as bitter, angry, dishonest, jealous, or evil. Cults often impose some kind of shunning to shame former members and prevent them from infecting other members with the truth. And again, if you apply this to YouTube and you leave a channel and you speak out, they're haters. They're just jealous. They're this, they're that, the blah. It's the shunning of, again, because I get, like, this is what I'm saying in application to YouTube. When you say leader, just think about creator, and any former member speaking out, they just shun them and they
Or
delegitimize them.
or if they feel like they've been like crossed. I mean, my God, and we've seen it happen like so many times. Like somebody, they cycle through people, friends, cult members, because sometimes people are like, what the fuck? And then they bounce, and then they're trying to spread awareness, and that person is drugged or abused or called out of their name, like by the cult people. It's so crazy.
Well, exactly, Molson, and that's the whole thing. It's group mentality, group thinking, where the one person who disagrees or may question the leader, you get called out, you get shunned, you get humiliated. So it discourages anyone else that may feel similar to speak out. So you end up just having this group think where you will just agree and go along with it. And what I'm curious is the people with Jonestown, did many of them follow through drinking that Kool-Aid because they were too scared to speak out? Mob mentality, yeah. So number 4, which I guess I don't know if you could apply it for YouTube, but the group is paranoid about the outside world. If your group insists the end of the world is near, you're probably in a cult. Cult positions themselves as the sole refuge from an evil outside world that is intent on their destruction, which kind of is Jim Jones again, right? Cults thrive on conspiracy theories, catastrophic thinking, and persecution complexes. In effort to draw in more paying members, cults are often very aggressive in their recruitment efforts, which are usually justified as saving people from the evil world. Those who reject the cult's message are unelect, prideful, evil, or stupid.
Yeah, that's a common one. I even think, wasn't there like a Y2K cult too? That I don't think it was really as large as Heaven's Gate, but I want to say there was like 8 or 9 people that were in some type of cult and killed themselves on New Year's.
Did you guys talk about the Wild Wild Country ones too?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I haven't watched that documentary. I heard it was really good.
Yeah, it is. You should watch it.
What is it about?
It's about this guru who basically, sorry, I'm eating nerds.
You're good.
Crunch, crunch. It was basically manipulation and sex. Like, I think that was the big part of it. I can't remember. It's been a long time. But
it was like a New Age revolution, so a lot of that free love.
Yeah.
They purchased like a whole town in Oregon, right? And then
yeah, and he was like from India, I think. And
yeah,
so,
he was like an Indian guy.
Yeah. And he just, said that I think he was a messiah of sorts. It's on Netflix, MJ, if you guys want to check it out, or anybody in the chat.
Yeah, I think the Duplass brothers directed it. I heard a lot of good things about it. There was also, you guys ever heard of James Randi? He was a illusionist.
James Randall.
Wasn't it Randy?
Randy or Randall? Maybe it is Randy.
But he
offered like $1 million to anyone who could prove
the paranormal or supernatural.
Yeah.
And I think actually someone finally won it with an AI system.
That was a trick. That was like they did that as a joke or something.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think so. If you're talking about what I'm talking about, then yeah.
But in the early 90s, there was like another kind of guru uprising. And he created a guru from the ground up. He hired a kid as an actor who was this Indian guru and toured him. And how he got publicity was he would just call up news stations and go, hey, I got this guru coming in from this other country. Can we just get like a little slot in the morning time to promote his outings and all that? And literally created a guru that grew and grew and grew, had thousands of members, just to make the point that, people can fall into this type of stuff. It can be manufactured.
Can be done.
What did you mean earlier? Did you say there was something about a castration?
Oh, that was with the Heaven's Gate thing, because of they had this strong belief in like celibacy, and that sex was kind of like a human dirty thing that needed to be dropped before ascending, and like they were getting surgically castrated at a facility in Los Angeles, and they were happy to do it. That was another part that I was like blown away by. Like someone called up their parents and was like, "Oh, I'm going in to get this operation done," and they just like went with it.
That's so crazy.
They're the Halebot people, right? Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Hellbound people. Yeah,
Oh Lord.
It's so
I'm telling you,
crazy.
they
But
were
I'm
wild.
telling you, I would have probably joined that cult. They align with a lot of my beliefs.
And they were like, I mean, they were like at least like they were do or die. Like,
Yep.
it's one of those things where
Literally.
you have to look at it kind of differently from Jim Jones, where like no one's getting forced into anything. We're all like all these people were just on the same roller coaster and happy to be there. And it's so it's so unusual.
It is.
I mean, that's what's interesting about like every one that we covered tonight is like the full spectrum, where every angle is different on one.
Yep. Every.
It's just that
And
tweak.
that's what I'm saying. Like, even YouTube, you guys think of it and reference it like that and add the YouTube on the spectrum, maybe the lower end of the spectrum, all the way up to Jim Jones, you know, but you have to remember that they come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, like Molson Man said. Stop it, Trent. If you want to be in the chat and contribute to the discussion, you're more than welcome, but I'm not letting you on panel because all you do is play back my voice. And I told you, come on a regular day when I'm just bullshitting, but not when I'm covering content. Okay, so ready? Number 5. The group, this one, oh my God, it just hits so close to home. The group relies on shame cycles. If you need your group in order to feel worthy, loved, or sufficient, you're probably in a cult. Cult leaders trap members in shame cycles by imposing abnormally strict codes of conduct, usually prescriptions about diet, appearance, sex, relationships, media, guilting members for their shortcomings, and they're positioning themselves as the unique remedy to the feelings of guilt which they themselves created. Cult members are made to believe they are insufficient or unworthy on their own, and that the only way to become worthy is to confess their shortcomings to the group or leader, just like the auditing with Scientology. The leader then becomes the mediator, the meditator of worthiness, and the foundation of the members' self-esteem. Leaders who can make followers feel bad about anything can use shame to manipulate followers into doing anything, even if it's against their own self-interest or better judgment.
Imagine that.
And shaming doesn't like we think of the extreme end of shaming. Shaming can also be like when you really like care about somebody. It can be something as subtle as just like I'm really disappointed in you. You know, it doesn't have to be this extreme thing where it's just like a blast of, you know, an attack. But I mean, when we're talking about the little minutia of people going along with this, you know, it's important to remember like sometimes it's not presented as them just like screaming and yelling at people. Sometimes it can just be, you know, something as simple as, oh, I'm disappointed in you because you care so much about
Molson,
that person.
I did an entire Manson live, but yeah. Sorry, go on, MK.
Oh, that was it.
Oh, well,
Manson's interesting. Definitely a cult, but yeah, that almost falls more in line with like MKUltra type shit and CIA.
oh my God. See, I'm sorry, but Trent, you're just so just ridiculous. Then out of nowhere, why are people being so horrible? I didn't even do anything bad. Then out of nowhere, people like to hate on me like a cult or something.
I'm pro Trent today.
Clever.
I've said nothing bad about Trent. I'm rooting for him.
Dude, Trent, the fact that I even still allow you in here is fine. Like, dude, if you want to add to the discussion, please. Molson, I told you that's why you're like, go up. I'm like, oh, Molson doesn't realize this is Trent. But yeah. And you're right, Akasha. Some people don't need to attack. They have attack dogs while they sit back and watch. But the shaming cycles is so real because anytime that you do speak out or you do have a mind of your own, what they will do is shame you. And not just the leader, it's the other members who will also put you down to make you feel like you were stupid for ever speaking out, or stupid for having a feelings that you may not agree, right? And we see that at least on YouTube all the time, all the time.
Yep, people that don't even have an issue with someone.
Yes. Yes.
You know, never had a beef with them, which, I mean, I don't know. Can we call out certain specific instances?
Nah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just going to say that, you know, all these people, you know, sing the praises of that person until they step out. And then the cult leader says, "Oh, this person wronged me." And then everybody's like, "I never fucking liked them. They're fucking creep. Like, I hated when they were on panel." Okay, well, if you all felt that way, why the fuck did you never say anything?
Exactly. They go from loving you, cherishing you, supporting you, encouraging you, to you are the ultimate enemy now. And that brings you back to number 4, which, again, no, not number 4, it was number 3, where you delegitimize former members. So anybody who is no longer part of this cult and you are speaking out against it, we are going to make everybody who is still part of this cult believe that that person is jealous, crazy, you know, like pissed, this, that, to the point where they are not credible any longer. Yeah, and in a blink of an eye, Akasha. Yep. Crazy. Number 6, the leader is above the law, which and Charles Manson. If you're held to a different moral standard, specifically in regards to sex, you're probably in a cult. A prevalent idea among cult leaders is that they are above the law, be it human or divine. This idea allows them to exploit their followers economically and sexually without repercussions. When confronted, they do not confess, but create justifications for their impropriety. Sexual grooming of members is common. Loyal cult members will perform any amount of mental gymnastics to justify or ignore the leader's behavior, aka all the people who are surrounding this leader or creator, whatever it may be. Even when they are dead wrong, the members are going to justify it. They're going to contort the truth and bend what's acceptable to make it seem like this person did no wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and go back to Heaven's Gate, Marshall Applewhite actually got arrested for stealing a rental car, and it's a felony. It's Grand Theft Auto, but because God told him that, oh no, you need to use this car to spread the word, like this is your car, so he just took the rental car. But Marshall Applewhite fucking rules.
Yeah, I know. The fact that they left someone behind to run the channel, the website, and it's still going is just amazing. Like, incredible. It's still being updated. Here it is, Sarah.
They've interviewed that guy before, and he still believes everything. Well, at least the last time I checked. But it's like, yeah, it's interesting what kind of foresight they had. And it's just a random. I don't know. The more I got into it, like it's such a interesting. To me, that is the purest cult.
Yeah,
that could have ever existed.
It's just okay. The group number 7. The group uses thought reform methods. If your serious questions are answered with cliches, you're probably in a cult. Indoctrination or brainwashing is the process through which a cult slowly breaks down a person's sense of identity and ability to think rationally. Behaviors like excessive fasting, prayers, hypnosis, scripture reading, chanting, meditation, or drug usage can all be used to increase a person's vulnerability to the leader's suggestions. The hallmark of indoctrination is the use of thought terminating cliches. Platitudes like follow the leader or doubt your doubts are regurgitated over and over so that members don't have to critically analyze complex issues. And there we go again with group thinking.
Yeah, and that one can be applied to all these can actually be applied to almost anything, on any level. But with that one particularly, oh dang, I just lost my train of thought. I'm getting tired.
That happens to me every sentence. I have no
saying?
idea what I'm talking about, and then I have to like make up the rest.
Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought. What was 7? What was the first part of that?
Now I forgot. Fuck.
Yeah, I know. That was a weird
It
one.
was the group uses thought
Oh, it's doubting
reform
your doubt,
methods.
right?
Yes, doubting your doubts.
Yeah, and that kind of goes along with like how to eliminate critical thinking. And but now once again though, doubting your doubts isn't a bad thing. I would kind of recommend doubting your doubts. But at the same time, it's
to an extent, yeah.
Me saying it, I would be saying it in the sense of critical thinking. You should kind of always question everything. And that's what it sounds like. And I think that's where the old cup trick comes in. And you see that with a lot of things, like with Christianity, even like the more like people that are more, I guess, what would that be called? Old Bible. People that believe like the like we're 6,000 years old.
Right.
That's sort of part of it, because it's like, oh, the dinosaur bones are. Some of them say it's a trick from the devil to fool you into thinking the Earth is older. And it's like that's a doubt your doubt. Yep.
Yes, that's true. But it's okay if you're doubting your doubts. What's not okay is if someone else is making you doubt your doubts.
Yeah,
you
it's someone forcing you to doubt your doubt, where it's like, no, it's definitely the devil hid these things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good night, Molson man. Thank you for coming. I will send you an email once I get off the live. Have a great night. You have the best week ever.
Yeah, have a good night, Molson man.
Yay, Molson. Yeah, the Old Testament, Nicole. Okay, number 9.
Oh.
Wait. No.
We're on 8, right?
Wait. That's what I thought, but I felt like I read this one already. All right, the 8.
Doubt
the
your
group
doubts.
is elitist. If your group is the solution for all the world's problems, you're probably in a cult. Cults see themselves as the...
That kind of applies to everything.
Yeah. Kind of does.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's where kind of like these rules are. So that's why it's easy to fall into these cults, maybe. Because these rules can kind of be applied to anything. On many of them.
What was it again? Wow. Can you reread it, Melissa?
Yes. It says, the group is elitist. If your group is the solution for all the world's problems, you're probably in a cult. Cults see themselves as the enlightened, chosen, and elect organization tasked with radically transforming individual lives and the entire world. This elitism creates greater sense of group unity and responsibility centered on a united purpose. However, this sense of responsibility is often manipulated by cult leaders who coerce members into risky financial behavior, sexual favors, free manual labor, or heightened recruitment efforts in order to further the cause. And Jim Jones again, where he gathered all these people to live on the land and be in unity. Meanwhile, no, he gathered them, put them on a plane, and made them do all the physical labor to create this place. And
even Heaven's Gate,
you want to apply it with YouTube. We're doing something for the greater good. We're fighting the haters. We're doing that, we're coming together. I'm doing this for all of us, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of any tight group kind of does that. If you're on a bowling league, you'd all stick together.
Yep.
So it's playing on this natural instinct to kind of be with your fellow man that's next to you and watch out for it.
But I wouldn't do some shady shit for my fucking bowling league.
Like that's where the line gets. That's what's interesting. Is that line get crosses. Although I bet you some bowling leagues get pretty wild.
Yeah, you want to see drama? Go into the knitting community.
For real?
That's true. Yeah, I knew a couple people that were in the knitting community around here, and it was like that's like where gossip starts.
That's wild.
Okay, number 9. Now up to number 9. There is no financial transparency.
Well, yeah.
Hmm. If you're not allowed to know what the group does with their money, you're probably in a cult. A group that refuses to disclose its finances is a huge red flag. Again, it's a huge red flag. Ethical organizations have nothing to hide. Cult leaders tend to live opulently, while their followers are required to make financial sacrifices. Members are often encouraged to pay their offerings, even if it means putting their families at risk.
Yeah, this is one of those ones why I think cults get closely connected to religions
Yes.
many oftentimes, because you get that no taxes. You get
Yep.
to hide all the money in the world you want.
Yep.
And yeah, for sure. No money transparency.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Sarah.
But how it gets out of control, though, like with Scientology, something large like that, it's one thing when you're part of a small church and a small community. Okay, we're going to build a fence around the church. Oh, okay, no issue. Everyone's there. You kind of see everything. You're going to count for everything in your own head. When it's up to 10 million people, I mean, that's a lot of money. And where is it all going? You got palaces, everything. They got their own neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where it becomes so large, you lose sight of it.
Well, and that's something I've never been able to understand. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I had friends that went to like regular church and they tithed. And I never could wrap my head around it because they were struggling financially. But they had agreed that they would give the church a third of their money.
Yeah. My father, he was a Irish Catholic, and he tithed, and it was I think the standard was 10% of your income.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And there was times where we were like really struggling. He was laid off and everything, and he still continued to tithe.
Like
really
if
amazing.
a group really loves you, they would not want that for you. They would not want to put them in a bad situation financially, or where they're losing electricity, or if they have real love and concern, they're not going to expect. And then the kicker, so not only with Catholicism, I don't know if you had to go to Catholic school, but then so not only do you tithe each month, but do you know how expensive Catholic school is? And can you imagine?
I was in more like a daycare kind of program from like my elementary school years, which was like a paid weekend thing. And I can't imagine what that cost. That probably cost. Who knows? That was in the 90s, so that would have been maybe $400 a month.
I'd have to look, but there's a school, and I can't look right now. But like close to me, how much it is? I want to say it's over $50,000 a year.
Oh yeah, I can see
That's
that.
crazy.
For high school. Now imagine having more than one kid, and then you have one, and they go from elementary school, middle school, and high school. So not only are you tithing them every month, but you're also paying out the ass for your kids to get an education.
Yep.
It's so crazy.
And like religion, kind of like with Catholicism, it kind of, I guess it's not in the cult category just because of how large it is. But I guess because of how large it is and what it's connected to, like, Notre Dame, things like that. So it's like, yeah, you do get a good education, and with your connections within, you probably do pretty good. You can probably make that amount of money, but that's kind of like that's the scheme. To keep pumping this money into this machine. Then you have kids, and then you got to put them in Catholic high school because that's what worked out well for you. And this machine just keeps on pumping.
So crazy.
I'm so sorry, Just Stuff.
Whereas a cult like Scientology, it's buy L. Ron Hubbard's books. You have to, and then you have to buy them for your friends.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Leah Remini explained the difference between the celebrity centered that now she experienced as an adult versus what she grew up, because she grew up in Scientology, and they were living in rat-filled freaking places getting nothing to eat, working all day long, but their money goes directly to the church because they're all church jobs, you know?
Yep.
Oh my goodness, Trent, please stop. I'm asking nicely. Sorry, you keep trying to come up. Same thing with YouTube. If you have someone who, there's no reason that you shouldn't have financial transparency. There isn't. If you're doing everything by the book, then what's the issue? Same thing with cults, you know, like, well, YouTube could be a cult too, but the point is that if you are giving, same thing with Scientology, in order to ascend and in order to learn and gain more knowledge, you literally have to pay. And the amount that they had them still paying is absurd. Leah Remini explained to get to the next set of books, and she showed her books, hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands. And if you can't afford it, you don't get the knowledge. The knowledge, aka fiction books.
And that episode of South Park that actually went over Scientology, that was probably one of the biggest moments in Scientology in terms of it actually taking a hit, because it did just explain the joke of the show was it just clearly it just showed bluntly what Scientology believes, and it was so with the animation, it was so ridiculous. That's really what kind of started the ball rolling with trying to get people, making awareness of getting people out of it.
So what celebrities
we know that main secret was out with Xenu being this supreme alien thing? It was, that's where we're at now.
Like Leah Remini, Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and his wife,
Chrissy Alley.
And
Jerry Seinfeld was a part of it.
Who was?
Yeah,
Jerry Seinfeld.
He was?
Yep, I know. Trent,
when you go through
the
list of celebrities that were in it for even a short amount of time, it's actually pretty shocking.
Yeah. Well, the fact that people who are accessible to that much money, and I'm not trying to say just because you have money you can't be more susceptible, but you could have anything, and so what would make you willingly hand over all your money for what? What would make you believe? And this is where you're not thinking logically. You're not thinking logically. Look up the facts about L. Ron Hubbard and how this entire thing started. Like I said, you guys, in the beginning, there was a bet between L. Ron Hubbard and a fellow fiction author about who could start a religion first. This is how shit started.
And that's
I'm sure people fucking tried to point it out too, and nobody listened. They're like, "Oh, you're a hater."
I mean, that's the linchpin right there. That has to be true if you're in that cult. That has to be true in your head. It's one. Yeah, it's amazing. And that's well documented too. The whole bet in the bar. That's not like a urban legend. That's well documented.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's documented.
I've never heard that.
That this started on his books, and it's fucked up because Trent, cut it out. I have to leave the entire screen every time you do that.
I guess we could look at to compare someone who could have had that power but didn't use it would be like George Lucas. George Lucas could have took a turn at some point and just started really selling the idea of oh no, in a galaxy far, far away. And if you give me a bunch of money and buy all my books, and maybe that's the way to kind of look at it.
Yeah, one day there'll be a leader called Yoda who's gonna come down and save us all. And you're just, yes, this is what's gonna happen. We're
there
we're
would
all gonna become Jedis. This is what
we're gonna have the Jedi training academies and
oh my god, I could only imagine.
And people would have went for it. The people right now would go for it if George Lucas came out and said, "Hey, this is a religion, guys. This is true. I spoke to Yoda. He's real." People would believe it and go, "Okay, I'm with it."
I'd be more open to thinking Yoda was real than I would about the Xenu, and we got bumped off another planet, and now we are literally attached to human vessels, but your souls are Thetans, and that's insane. And just Simpsons. I'm not sure too much of how on point South Park is, but I know Simpsons have predicted everything.
Yeah, well, that's
Hey,
that's
Irvin.
one of that Matt Groening conspiracy stuff, which is very intriguing.
Yeah, I've gone down that hole so many times in my lives, but it still fascinates me to know, like, just so incredibly fascinating.
Oh no, it is fascinating because they do predict things.
Yeah,
Like they
they
do.
do
It's
because
fucking
they
wow.
know about things before they happen. Predictive
Yeah,
programming.
I think that's
Mm-mm.
definitely part of it. That's for sure.
And even I feel like I think I did watch It's Been a While again.
It's been a
When
while
it's
since
been a
I've
while.
fucked things up. It's like
It's
I always do. Yeah,
been a
thank you.
while.
I'm trying
Actually
to think
met
what song that was, what movie soundtrack that was for.
from Creed.
Yeah.
It's free, but wasn't it like in a movie?
All that I can't remember. Such a good song.
Yeah.
What were you saying though? I'm sorry. That's
No,
how
no,
my
no.
ADD works.
Oh, I was just thinking of something else bullshit that Scientology did. Like when they would get people into their centers, and that's what I was saying. I was watching like the Leah Remini thing, like when she first came out and was exposing it and stuff, and it was super like taboo that she was doing it. Uh, they would put like little metal things on their heads, and and turn on these machines and it literally did nothing. Like I'm serious. Look it up, MK.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it 100%.
It's but
What
it's
is that
like
supposed to mean, Irvin? Sorry, go ahead, Heather.
no, it's okay. It's just yeah, it was just ridiculous. It basically looked, imagine if you would a metal colander to drain spaghetti, like that with like two things
Yeah.
coming down out. It's ridiculous. And
Well, I
there's
mean, that's like if I was a cult leader, I would definitely be making everybody do some dumb shit.
yeah,
Like, but wear the spaghetti hat.
yeah.
I like spaghetti hats. I'm not gonna lie.
I could go for
My head
some.
went to Ghostbusters. Rick Moranis. There's like a scene in there where he's got like a
Oh
couple
yeah.
one of strainers on his head with a bunch of wires coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, that just
But,
reminds me of
but I
like the
mean,
old.
that's where it's like I think that's where the cult leader and the upper echelon has their fun. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
someone's having fun here.
Oh yeah. Oh, they bask in it in our ignorance. Like
Yeah, oh yeah, they're
seriously.
sitting back laughing.
Yep. It's true. Okay, but I'm just trying to figure out what Irvin, because I understand we were talking about predicting, but with the way the YouTube streets are, I take that as something's gonna happen, and you better not be trying to say that.
Irvin, you're late to the game, dude. There's about 20 cult leaders that say that. Ooh, did you guys watch that fucked up movie? Uh,
Which one?
the recent one. Uh, it wasn't Hereditary. It was about the kids that went. Come on, mother. Hold on.
Was it like
Is
a
what?
like a streaming movie?
No, it was like in a theater movie. It was like a horror movie, and it was supposed to be like the scariest of the year. It was done by the same person that made Hereditary, though.
That was a weird fucking movie.
It's
I never
like
saw that one.
You never saw
Solstice.
that?
No, I never saw it already. I'm not into those like A24 movies. That's like a weird horror I can't get into.
It was weird.
It's actually like a real festivity in another country, like in Dutch or excuse me, I'm looking it up right now. Carry on while I look it up.
Well, yeah, Irvin, that's why I'm like, you better not be saying anything because I already feel like something's coming, and that's why I'm just trying to stick to myself, stick to my content, and that's it. Like, I don't want this drama. But here, I'll just read the last one real quick and then we'll get into the movie. It says the group performs secret rites, which this reminds me of the Nxivm cult. If there are secret teachings or ceremonies you didn't discover until after you joined, you're probably in a cult. Cult uses secret rituals as rites of passage that solidify a member's loyalty to the group. Initiation into these rites usually only come after a member has undergone certain tests or made adequate financial contributions. Often, cult initiations are confusing, bizarre, or even offensive. This mental dissonance between their sense of confusion and their loyalty to their inner circle convinces the initiate to double their efforts in order to properly appreciate the proceedings. This only further entrenches them in a shame cycle, making them even more susceptible to manipulation. Good night, Sarah something. Mwah. What a dick. You're a dick, Irvin. Yeah, Purple Pixie, it's been a lot. Okay, did you figure out the movie?
Yeah, still looking.
All right. Yeah,
Now,
like
would,
Skull and Bones.
Midsummer.
I was gonna say, would like Freemasons, I guess, would be considered a cult, even though it kind of falls in line with a secret society. But
Yeah,
once
yeah.
going through that list, there's not much difference between a secret society and a cult.
My dad was also a Freemason.
Pew pew. Wait, Midsummer, that weird one that was a few years
Yes.
ago?
It was in 2019.
Yeah, that was a weird one, is right. I watched it once and I don't even know how to explain it if I wanted to.
Yeah. It was a cult though.
Yeah. Ooh, like did you see Midsummer? MK?
No, I didn't. That is like one of those A24 movies that I kind of avoid. I know my buddy saw it and he was like telling me it was good.
It was.
But I don't know. I don't like those weird horror movies, which is odd though, because The Shining is one of my favorite ones. That's definitely a weird horror movie.
A classic. I haven't seen the newer one with Danny, but
Grown Up.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah. Was
oh
it
my
good?
God, it was so good.
It's better than I expected. Like I was kind of like, that's a ballsy move to make a sequel, like a direct sequel to The Shining.
Same.
They actually did a pretty good job.
And I love Ewan McGregor.
Me too, girl.
Mm-hmm. He's
and
sexy.
He did so good. And I loved wasn't it the guy from the original?
I don't know what the originals is.
Oh, you've never watched The Shining? I mean I
have seen The Shining.
Well, the one that was Danny's friend.
The caretaker? That's actually a different guy.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they actually found an actor that looks just like him, and they kind of did some makeup stuff to him. But that's I thought I had to check on IMDb. Like, is that the same guy?
Yeah.
What guy?
The caretaker, or one of the caretakers. Like, I think he's like the maintenance man of the hotel. He's the one that also has the shine, like Danny.
Oh,
he talks to him.
Yeah.
He gets stabbed in the axe.
I thought. Wasn't he the cook?
No, he's not the cook. He's like the head. I don't know what you call him, groundskeeper.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, he's the one that gets axed. Spoilers.
Oops. Type something. Sorry, Purple Pixie. But yeah. I want to see the new. I wish it was available like on it because I don't have cable or anything. I only have like the apps. So, but I feel like movies that are released in the theaters don't go onto Netflix or anything.
Yeah. Oh, Out of the Shadows with Ginger said about how secret societies are more elitist, and yeah, that's kind of what I was just I was kind of pondering the Illuminati and kind of how that would fall in line with it. And yeah, it's almost like a more. I get why people would join a secret society because you kind of get immediate benefits in a monetary form. That kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, like you're knowingly going into something like that,
and it's like an exclusive club thing, and it's for real an exclusive club. Like not anyone's getting in this.
I don't know really what that means, Hydro Hose, but YOLO, you do your thing. I'm not sure what it means. But I'm all for it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it means. Do you guys know what it means?
Is it song lyrics? Is it like an Evanescence song?
You'll no say. But yeah, I think that these cult-like mentalities, and you guys have to, like, everyone needs to remember, they didn't start out that way, like they started out with these red flags, these small little Or maybe they didn't start out bad at all, and money
Well,
and
that's what I'm
power.
saying. This is another divide. Some have started intentionally with the aspect of what this is a cult. Others like kind of just morphed into it over time. Because that whole Heaven's Gate thing took about 20 years to boil over to that
That's
point.
crazy. That's crazy.
It was like the little slow steps going up. Whereas like someone like Jim Jones, I think he kind of had an idea what kind of stuff he was trying to
I think
accomplish.
drugs, money, and power with Jim Jones. Like,
Yeah, drugs, money,
I
and
think he
power,
was
and
always a dick, but money,
arms
drugs, and
dealing,
power.
and
Oh,
I guess
thank you,
that's more in
Jessica.
line with the criminality aspect of it too. It's sort of like, you know, yeah, Jim Jones is laundering money and moving drugs at you know, Old Marshall stealing rental cars. There's a different level of criminality going on. One's more for profit, whereas the other one's, you know, geared by a belief.
And I feel like anytime any religion tries to control people and their actions, like I feel like that's a cult. Like the Duggars, they're so fucking weird.
Yes.
Is that
Which,
is
thank God,
that like
Josh
the
was in jail.
22 and counting family?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's how many 19
I used
and
to watch
counting.
them, and I was like, "This is almost like a manufacturing facility," because like the older ones just raised the younger ones, and the parents really didn't do anything at a certain point. They were going on like tours and doing radio interviews, and but the whole way the whole family was raised was like this factory.
Yep.
Clothes got passed down. It was all khakis and polos. Man, that was weird.
And all skirts, like the girls aren't allowed, weren't allowed to cut their hair. There was just so many rules, and it's like, just let them be kids. Like, and I think that's why some of them, I mean, I don't follow them much anymore, but every once in a while I'll get something that'll pop up on my newsfeed about.
Well, I know the oldest one did get convicted of, I believe, child porn possession.
Pornography. Yeah, fucking
child
weirdo.
pornography.
Which is
And
bullshit
so
because that's the same one that he molested his sisters.
yeah, that's what
And
started this whole thing.
they came out, and it was like the girls were scrutinized for speaking out about it. It was crazy, and the parents knew, and the
Well,
parents were trying to hush it.
it's odd that the media sometimes speaks out against these types of things. It's very suspicious. It was, I call it the tell.
Yeah, Jim Jones was addicted to being addicted. Hey, Nace. I would never be able to give my child Kool-Aid with poisoning. The kids weren't even given Kool-Aid if they were big enough to drink and willing to, yes, but otherwise they were injected. And it's just, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys, you don't just go to bed and overnight it happens and you're full blown in it. It is something that happens slowly over time. And like MK was just saying, over 20 years for Heaven's Gate, like it's little by little, to where the same way when someone's losing weight, okay? If you're living in the house with someone who is 300 pounds, they're down to 250, but you didn't notice so much, versus someone that they've seen for the first time in months, the weight difference is like, wow, you lost so much weight. Because when you're looking at someone and it's
Every
a
day.
pound by pound, you're not noticing the difference, versus someone who just came in after a few months and they're seeing all 50 pounds at once. It's the same kind of thing that applies here. Is it's so little by little that you don't even realize it's happening. It's kind of same thing with our rights. One by one, little by little, we're giving up each right until one day we're gonna wake up and we're not gonna have any fucking rights at all. Sorry, I'm not trying to
Yeah,
get
one day
political,
you
but
could
I'm
smoke in
throwing
half
that
a
in there.
restaurant, and now you have to go like across the street. It was that little whittle. It went from no smoking inside the building, you go outside on the sidewalk, then became no, that's too close. You gotta go over to the park.
Yeah,
And now you've broken down into just one little small area. It's disgusting. Smokers, rise up. But yeah, that's all I have to do is just whittle you away.
Wow, sorry, I just said something was really interesting. Oh, nice. I remember still smoking in buildings.
Me too, girl.
I remember restaurants. I remember when you'd go into a restaurant, it would be
Hell
smoking
yes.
section or non-smoking.
I
Yep.
remember going to Waffle House and just having a cigarette, drinking coffee at the booth.
Ew.
Oh, yep.
It was like this
And
is it.
airplane.
Airplanes. How crazy is that? Limited oxygen.
Right? Light them if you got them,
Airplanes.
folks.
Well, here's my logic with the airplane is that you got these state of the art air filters installed. Let's fucking use them.
It's just.
Well, shit, you guys. You know, I told you my parents were both in medical. When my mom worked at one of the hospitals here, I remember very fucking clearly them having a smoking room
Oh yeah,
inside the hospital. Like,
yeah.
How crazy is that?
it's yeah, and then like MK said, so then and I remember because my mom was a smoker, and that was the other thing. Like, I would go visit her sometimes at work. It was like fun for me to go, or if she had an appointment there, I would go, and then we'd go to the cafeteria. It was super fun, you know. But then we'd go into the fucking smoking room. But then, so then the hospital was like, nope, no more smoking, and then they would have butt huts is what they called them, and they were like heated in the winter, and it was enclosed so you wouldn't get rained on, and they were nice, you know. And
Yeah.
even as a patient in the hospital, like, it was like, shit, I just need to go down to the butt hut, or they had like a specific area just closed off for smokers. But then it was like, okay, now you can't even smoke on the property. Like, if my mom's retired, but if any employee is caught smoking on the grounds, like, they're terminated. Like, it's serious. It's
Oh yeah,
ridiculous.
like you have to go like across the street. You gotta be like 100 yards away from the hospital
Yeah,
now.
like, you can't even go in your own car and
Yeah,
have a cigarette. It's wild. That's a little excessive.
I remember at least in 2011, I was in the Atlanta airport, and there was the last smoking room I seen in an airport.
Oh, I remember those. It was so nice. Like, being able to catch a
Yeah,
cig.
like hop in, you walk in this little room, and it was like at the end of it was like in the terminal, so you had like 360 view of the whole place, and you just be in there with a bunch of people smoking.
Yeah, you didn't even have to light up all the secondhand smoke.
Oh yeah, you just walk in there and get a buzz.
Yeah. But like, it's crazy because, like, growing up as a kid, like I said, my parents were smokers, but you know, everybody is just like so freaked out, and it's like, my God, you know, when my mom was growing up, like, her parents smoked, and they had 6 kids, and they were all in the car, and nobody gave a shit. Like, they would smoke with the windows up, like, no fucks were given. But my God, if
Yeah,
you have a cigarette and a child in a car now, you are like, woo.
yeah. 426 Hemi said, "I smoked with teachers in high school." Yeah, that's
That's
true.
crazy,
I,
Abby.
I saw old yearbooks from my high school from like the early 80s where it's like the seniors smoking with teachers in the smoking area, which was like
Oh my God.
this little basement area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
our
why not?
school has one.
How much
I was
times have
watching
changed?
I was watching an old Steve McQueen movie, Bullet, and there's a part where he's like he's a cop and his partner gets shot and like he's in surgery. There's like a doctor operating on him, and the doctor walks over like 3 feet away to him and lights up a cigarette and starts talking about like, oh, I got shot about 3 times. I'm like, you're in the operating room, just just ashing and smoking a cigarette, and it blew my mind like how far we come.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what makes me wonder, in 20 years from now, what do we do now that's going to be totally unacceptable?
Right.
But see, I don't know because some things kind of revert. Like tattoos are cool now. Nobody gets grief for tattoos in any type of
Yeah.
No.
business position. That was something that took about 70 years to flip around.
And
From the
wild
time
hair. I remember,
well,
like,
hair too,
growing
yeah.
up, people were like, oh, it's so trashy to have like different colored hair. And or those people were like the emo, or, you know, punk rockers. That's what people associated, like,
Yeah,
mohawk.
nowadays I don't even bat an eye at stuff like it's like whatever.
Yeah, everybody, even old people or older, you know, have
Mm-hmm.
different rainbow heads.
Ooh, Hemi. I think in 20 years, we won't own anything.
Ew,
You think everything's going to be virtual or something like that with technology?
that would be cool.
Imagine
Mm.
no possessions. Sorry.
I'm hoping for like some rocket ships to Mars. That's what I'm betting on.
Some rocket ships?
Yeah, if I can get off this planet, that'd be pretty cool.
All right, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I
You need to
think
make friends with Jeff Bezos.
He ain't going nowhere. His little penis rocket.
Yeah, I'd go with
pretty
Elon,
lame.
not Jeff. Rent from
But it
all
doesn't. It's not even
government.
like a real. It barely goes into space. It just comes right back down.
Yeah.
Like, that's a crap ride. I want to go like
Barely
if I'm going.
touches lower Earth atmosphere.
Yeah, it doesn't get into anywhere near orbit. That's why I'm like if I go to space, I'm going to space. I'm getting in a rocket that can fly.
Yeah, I'm busting past the radiation belt.
Yeah, blown right through it. Well, they got that new. Well, that's getting off topic. I want to say there's a type of algae or fungus they found in Chernobyl that absorbs radiation, and they're studying it to use it as radiation protection.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because if you actually follow NASA and all the bullshit, a few years ago, a video came out and I'm speaking about the new rocket ship they were working on, and they were explaining how if we could just figure out how man can survive the Van Allen radiation belts, we will be okay. That's the biggest obstacle. But we apparently already did survive the Van Allen radiation. We apparently went to the moon.
They've done this multiple times with multiple things. They've went back on the radiation thing. There's like multiple videos over the decades of them saying the same thing. And
you can't find them anymore.
They've also announced they announced liquid water on Mars 3 times in the last 40 years. They just keep doing it every like 15 years, and people are just okay. They announced it originally in 1976. They announced it again in like I think 1990s, and then they just did it here again a couple of years back, like 2015.
And a lot of people don't even know. Still,
well, that's the thing. People just forget, and then NASA comes out and goes, "Oh, we found water on Mars." I was like, "Okay."
But to sit there and say, "Oh, because we originally lost the moon footage, then it was we ran out of tapes, so like an old wedding video, when you wanted to record something on VHS, you pop it in and record over it. They claim they recorded over the telemetry data that goes to the moon, and we cannot recreate it." The fact
that was even proven to not be true, because all these bunch of files were found in an abandoned McDonald's across the street from Houston. They found a bunch of the old Apollo era. That's the thing. I believe we went to the moon. I just don't think we used the technology that they're saying. And I think that's why we don't have the information, because they can't say, well, they can't explain things like
we went to the moon, but the footage we saw was not footage, not the real footage.
At least the vast majority of it isn't.
Yes, correct. Heather, what do you think?
I have no opinion on it, because honestly, like I don't fucking know. I never, like, I'm not a huge conspiracy person. I definitely think there are conspiracies out there, but I've never looked into the NASA thing really at all.
It's one of those things where it's like, well, if you don't have an interest in it, then because it doesn't affect anybody on a day-to-day basis.
Do you know how much money goes to NASA?
It does for certain people, but for the average person, it's like flat Earth. People worry about flat Earth. It's like when 90% of them, the curvature of the Earth doesn't matter to them.
Right.
In reality, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that is such a big thing to get into.
Well, I think, at least to me personally, it's massive, because if you got that technology, if you acquired it from reverse technology, well, then that means that there either, one, had to be a prehistoric advanced human civilization here on Earth, or two, some type of extraterrestrial species. And when you start to think about that literally rewrites our entire timeline of evolution. Or if you're going with the extraterrestrial species, well, that means that there is something beyond Earth. And that then makes my religious beliefs start to change, because you followed, these organized religions and what they claim, yet this type of knowledge goes beyond that and would change everything. So by you withholding the truth from me, even as simple as that, even though it's not simple, you are then changing the entire outlook of how I'm going to live the rest of my life. Because I was raised Catholic, then I questioned my, religion, like everyone questions their religion at some point, I think. And then I became spiritual based on my love for aliens and outer space, and the idea of how we are living in an infinite, constantly expanding universe? How do you know we are not literally a creation of aliens, extraterrestrial species? But it changed my faith. So you lying to me or withholding knowledge, because the timeline they're still teaching us is not true. It's been proven false. Okay, there's literally footprints around, a human footprint around with a fossilized dinosaur footprint. There should not be any humans around when dinosaurs were roaming, yet there are. There's also evidence of major giants. You guys have that knowledge and you're withholding us, and that personally changed my entire outlook of life.
Yeah. Did you see where they recalculated when mammoths went extinct?
Mm-hmm.
It was originally thought they went extinct about 10 to 15,000 years ago, but recent dating on a mammoth found in northern Canada reveals that one died 5,000 years ago. It's a 5,000 year difference.
Yep.
And like, you know, I totally believe in aliens, and I totally believe that the Area 51 exists. And, I definitely think that our government is not being completely honest with us. But sometimes I feel like ignorance is bliss. And like, maybe it's for the greater good. I don't know. I mean, as far as the religion thing goes, Melissa, like, can you have both? I mean, I guess I'm
Yeah.
seeing what you're saying. Like, okay, if there's aliens, then why am I believing in this one true God?
Well, listen, I believe in a higher power now, whether you want to call that God, Buddha, Allah. I don't give a shit. It's a higher power, period. But there are
Right.
people that I have met who are so religious, and because the Bible says that there is no other creature outside of Earth, they genuinely believe that. Now, that is not logical. Science shows us this is a infinite, and I don't think people grasp how big this universe is. It is infinite and constantly expanding. And you're telling me you're going to be naive enough to think that our little blip, our little fucking speck is the only human organism, the only living organism, living and breathing. And a lot of them will not believe even the possibility because of organized religion. And I'm not discouraging organized religion, but what I'm saying is, if there's knowledge, let us know. We have the right to know, so then we could rearrange our beliefs. And when you rearrange your beliefs, it also can rearrange your entire life, your path. It could make you have faith, but we have the right to knowledge. You don't have the right to withhold knowledge from me.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I think I want to take off here. I'm about been a long weekend.
Yeah,
well, this is a good conversation.
Absolutely. And MK, I always love having you on, and I very much hope that you could come on again soon. Heather, thank you for coming up. It's been amazing, and it was really interesting given that you grew up in a similar setting along those lines, and hearing your insight and your perspective. So thank you both so much for coming on.
Yeah, sure thing.
And,
Thanks for having
nice talking to you, Heather.
You too, MK. Take care.
All right.
Bye, MJ. Love your face.
Love you. Thank you, everyone who is in the chat. I don't know what happened to Brittany. She just didn't appear, and I don't know where Holly went, but thank you for everyone for such an interesting and a constructive discussion. And I'm really looking forward to continuing on this path. The next case is Kanika Jenkins. And then we have on Tuesday, we have Disney trivia. So anybody who is interested in that. Then Wednesday, I have episode 1 of the JonBenet Ramsey series. So if you are looking for cases again, stick around, and because it's so drama filled right now on YouTube. So I'm gonna really just try hard to focus on the cases. And T-1 week is my birthday bash, so come on and join while Bryn is taking over, and he is going to do some type of live. I'm going to make him do magic. So I look forward to having all of you guys there. So I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I will see you tomorrow. Spread some peace, love, and positivity, everybody. I love you all. Mwah. Namaste.